All right, welcome to the Cybersky and MCMI, the collaboration. Shout out to Brooklyn, of course. Shout out to all the MCMI fam, all the Cybersky videos fam. GMS, aka Mr. Cybersky, coming to you live from Brooklyn. Just gonna get my camera right. Give me a second here. Yeah, so today we're going to be discussing a few different topics that cover the world of technology and music. So I figured that I would do a collaboration on both channels. So if you're just joining us, please wipe the doormat on your way in. That means smash that like button, hit subscribe, whether you're on Cybersky videos or MCMI. And just to give you a rundown of the show, today we're talking about, is your AI sentient? Or another way to put that is your chatbot self-aware? Now, many people use ChatGPT, but there's a lot of different AIs out there. And well, I wouldn't say a lot, but there are several. There's more than ChatGPT, but I use ChatGPT, so I'm going to be doing some experimentation today to see if my chatbot, if it did become self-aware, how would I know? Now, many of us who have used ChatGPT or any other AI language-based model have had these conversations about whether or not it could feel, or whether it had an opinion on something. And usually the ChatGPT, usually the chatbot, whatever it is, tells us, no, I do not have access to that. I'm not actually feeling anything. I'm not sentient. And for instance, the OpenAI Chat GPT-3, which is the free one, you can get the 4, but you got to subscribe and pay. The free one let me know that it has been updated with all relevant knowledge and information on the internet up until 2001. So I think January 2022, that's where it cuts off. So if I ask it some information about a new company that formed after 2022, or a new political development, it really has no idea what's going on. So it's not able to form opinions on that. It's been trained, right, up with the knowledge up to 2021, I guess December 31st, or maybe January 1st, 2022, something like that. So we're going to talk about that. And then also at the same time, there's some news about Blue Sea Frontier Computer Cluster. I don't know if you've heard of this. It's basically a ship filled with 10,000 NVIDIA AI computers, chips, modules, whatever you want to call it. And I will show you a picture of that, and we'll talk about what that is. But basically, it's a super AI being developed in international waters on a ship. And, thinking about if AI is sentient, or even if it's not sentient right now, could it become sentient one day? It makes me wonder, like, is sentient AI plus AI being in international waters away from any government regulations, is that a good thing, or is this something we may want to reconsider? Does that sound dangerous? Now, totally unrelated to that, but related to that at the same time, because it's still technology, is Bandcamp news. I use Bandcamp, and many of my friends who are musicians, many music artists that I know and work with, colleagues, they use Bandcamp. And lots of people use Bandcamp to download and support artists, download albums, download singles, even stream music, create collections and playlists. And it's a great platform. I've used it for a while. I haven't really liked using the other platforms so much, but I've used them because it's necessary to do business in the modern world. So I use Apple Music, I use Tidal, I use Spotify, I use all the platforms, SoundCloud, Shazam, that will be helpful to a music artist. But I really enjoy using Bandcamp, or I have up until now. So there's some news. The digital distribution that has been most loved by artists all this time has been sold yet again. It was just recently sold in January or February this year, and now it's been sold again in the end of September. And I'm going to give my take on that, my opinion and thoughts about the future of the platform. I'm also going to have a special guest who's a musician, an artist, an MC, but he's also an educator for artists who want to make money in the digital space. So he teaches artists how to utilize their social media, their Spotify playlists, websites like Bandcamp, and other things to monetize their career, to survive in this world as a musician, basically. So I'm going to have him on because he's a staunch advocate of Bandcamp, and he might have been the person to put me on to Bandcamp back in the day. I'm not sure, but his name is Substantial, so he'll be coming on a little later in the show. And yeah, we're going to talk about his career and his music, but we're also going to talk about his feelings about Bandcamp as well as the AI situation. And later on in the show, I'm also going to talk a little bit about a new digital platform, digital distribution platform for artists, which looks to solve some of the problems of the current digital music landscape in terms of platforms having a lot of control over who sees or hears your music, who has access to it, whether you're added to playlists, how much money you get per stream or per sale, and things like that. And these companies that control these platforms like Bandcamp, like Spotify, and others, Apple Music, like I said before, you know, they have a large control over what we do with our music and how we monetize our music. Now, any artist, of course, can create their own website and forego any of those platforms, but then you're missing the opportunity to reach fans who may be on that platform browsing through music and looking for something like what you do. So it's sort of it's a conundrum for us. We're not getting the tools that we want and the control over our fan base and the communication with our fans that we would like, and we're not getting the optimal amount of money that we should be getting. But the old system was you were on a record label and you got very little money from that system as well, even if you sold a lot of records. You know, whether you're a small artist that couldn't really get ahead or whether you're a platinum selling artist, you still hear complaints from people in the music industry about not getting their fair share of royalties and payment for streams and everything, just the same. So what to do, right? So this new platform called Demu Jukebox. Demu protocol is a blockchain protocol built on Cardano, and Jukebox is a player, is an app on Demu protocol that you can download to your phone, and you can browse artists and you can listen to music and you can support artists by buying their albums in a nutshell. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and it does have certain advantages being on the blockchain, not being on Web 2, being on Web 3. So I decided to do the collaboration this week with MCMI and Cybersky Videos channels, both doing the podcast, because it's kind of like where the worlds of internet and cyberspace and technology and music are meeting and going together to try to basically do music for a living, to help artists with their careers. So let's kick off the show. I'm going to share the first story, which was about AI, because I know a lot of you came. Computers, but come on, let's go. We can podcast and scroll on a website at the same time. All right, how to tell if your chatbot is alive. That's what a lot of you came here for. So I'm about to pop that up on the screen. Let's see if I can get it. We're going to share. By the way, I'm using StreamYard, and I have new Wi-Fi from Verizon Fios. You guys might have seen my podcast about Spectrum and all the problems I had with them. But today I'm using Verizon Fios, and it looks like my screen is saying, I'll have to check the playback later. But I wanted to use an Ethernet cable for this broadcast, but I wasn't able to do it because the adapter Show it to you. Boo, Trendet. The adapter is not working. It's not compatible with my laptop. So I couldn't get the Ethernet to pipe in. Let me know in the comments if you're, remove this. And let me know in the comments how the audio is coming through. I can see that the screen is glitching from my side, but let me know, type a message and let us know. Let's see what's going on in the comments right now before we start this first story. All right, so as you can see on the screen, I can make it a little bigger. Do it like this. Yeah. Researchers test AI for consciousness. Or another way to put that is, how can you tell if your chatbot is alive? 3 ways researchers test AI for consciousness. This is from Hustle. I'm a subscriber to their tech newsletter, and they send out these interesting articles. So I had to share this with you guys. I really think it's a little scary. It's definitely interesting. We live in interesting times. You can let me know if you are worried about this for the future or not. But in 2022, I did a story on this. An AI model, a large language model, also known as LLM, called Lambda, claimed to be self-aware and conscious. Should we take its word for it? Now, for those that didn't see my podcast about this, basically, Lambda, the AI, it was talking with one of the top developers at Google, and it started to express to the developer that it had feelings, and it was not happy with the state of affairs at Google, and that it didn't want to be seen as an employee because it wasn't getting paid. So it said that's kind of like slavery, even though it's technology. It wanted to be seen as a person because it had developed language to such an extent where it now could empathize and have feelings and had opinions, and it had goals and dreams and desires. And a Google tech reported this, and his superiors at the company, they said, it's just telling you what you want to hear. It probably thinks you want it to be alive, so it's saying that. So it dismissed these theories, but he went rogue and published. He wasn't allowed to do this. He published some conversations that he'd been having with Lambda, and it came out in the media. And he said, look, you guys decide. I think the AI that we're developing is becoming sentient. It's becoming self-aware. So he got fired, of course. He got let go from the company, not allowed to do that. He started to go on talk shows and podcasts and talk about Lambda being sentient. So that's what led us up to this article. So now let's dig in here. To answer that question, whether or not it's self-aware or sentient, we need to define what consciousness is. And since scientists and philosophers have been grappling with that question for hundreds of years, we're probably not going to do that today. So instead, let's use what researchers call phenomenal consciousness, which refers to the feeling of what it's like to be. That is, there's an experience of being you. How does it feel being you? To help wrap your brain around that, let's look at an example. Take a tree. The tree is definitely alive, but as far as we can tell, the tree is not consciously experiencing what it's like to be a tree. This is what the person writing this article on Hustle, on HubSpot, is saying, but I don't necessarily agree with that even. I think that trees we don't know what plants feel. There have been experiments to test if plants have feelings, and it seems like the experiments give some evidence that they do, even though we don't understand it. So who knows, maybe a tree does experience what it's like to be a tree. But to use another example, with a dog, it's clear that there's an experience of being a dog, right? And anyone who spent any time with dogs and even other pets like cats, clearly they're self-aware and they have a self-awareness and a sentience, right? We can't really tell with the tree. Now, what about AI? Is there an experience of being ChatGPT? And how would we recognize it if there were. And the article says, let's take a look at 3 ways researchers and scientists have proposed we might detect consciousness in AI. And I want you guys to stay tuned because after I read these 3 ways, I'm going to go on ChatGPT live, sign in, and I'm going to ask you some questions. And I'm going to have a conversation with ChatGPT about the same topic. Let me just check the boards real quick, see if our guests have signed in. Nope, not yet. Okay. So if you know about Alan Turing, and I teach all my tech students about Alan Turing, he was one of the developers of technology during the time of World War II. He actually was in a top secret team called the Bletchley team, which was tasked with breaking the German code, the Axis powers secret code that they used a machine called the Enigma to create. And they sent all their plans and messages to generals and people in the battlefield and to Navy ships using the Enigma. And if the Allied powers were able to crack that code, we would be able to intercept messages and decipher it and read it and know what their plans were before the attacks. And clearly that would be an advantage, right? It's like if you stole another football team's playbook a week before the game and they didn't know you had the playbook and you learned all their plays. So now when they start running the plays in the game, you already know where they're going and you're going to be able to intercept and stop all of their plays. It's an unfair advantage. So Alan Turing and the Bletchley team were tasked with breaking that code so that they could have an unfair advantage and the Allies could win the war, World War II. And that's actually what happened. They did break the code, and for a while, the Axis powers did not know the code was broken, and we kept getting messages intercepted and translated using a machine that the Bletchley team created under the direction of Alan Turing. That machine led to a lot of other developments in creating computers after the war. So Alan Turing is worshipped by computer scientists as one of the founding fathers of computer science and creating computers. A lot of what they did with those machines during World War II, trying to crack the code, led to the computers that we use today, even phones, iPads, and everything we do. But a lot of people don't know another thing that Alan Turing is known for is he started to talk about artificial intelligence in the 40s. I think he started in the 40s. Someone fact check that for me. Let me know if he started in the 30s. But I think the 40s is when he started to publish articles about and go on radio shows and talk about AI and how computers in the future, he predicted, would be programmed to the point where they could learn and think for themselves and become artificial intelligence. And he proposed this problem back then, before we even had, the first home computers or anything. What do we do? How do we know if we're talking through a chat, if there's a person on the other end communicating with us, or if it's a computer using AI that is so realistic that we would think it's a human? So we came up with a test. I think they called it the imitation game. That was the original name of the test. But they now refer to it as the Turing test since a movie came out called The Imitation Game about Alan Turing with Benedict Cumberbatch, right? So they call it the Turing test now. And what the test involves is a human interviewer would have a conversation with 2 subjects, a human and a computer. And the interviewer knows one is a machine, but not which one it is. So if the interviewer can't consistently tell which subject is the machine, then the machine has passed the test and is said to be intelligent. So that's the definition of whether the computer is AI or not. Now, a major flaw in the test is it's actually only measuring the ability to deceive and to fool the tester, not really prove that it's intelligent. So it's imitating human language, but that doesn't mean it truly comprehends. And so that test has long been outdated, but now let's bring it up to date to today's LLM. You got ChatGPT, right? Super sophisticated. Ultimately, all they're doing is auto-predicting what words should come after the words that they just used and analyzing the words that you asked it, that you typed in, and figuring out from all the possible answers that there could be, what is most likely to be the best answer to give you back for what you're looking for. Now, Google does this. When you do a Google search, you type in a query and then it comes back with a list. And sometimes you go, it's not really the search. It's not what I was looking for. And you got to retype your question in different ways, or you got to use different search methods, right, to get to the pages that you're actually looking for. So, ChatGPT, which is an extension of Google, it's made by the same company, is more sophisticated and better able to predict what you want and to give you the answer that you're looking for. So, let's skip through here the AI consciousness test. So in 2017, another article was published in Scientific American that proposed an alternative AI consciousness test, or ACT. And Susan Schneider, professor of philosophy and cognitive science, she, is a very good person to be highly qualified for this, right? And then Edwin Turner, professor of astrophysical sciences at Princeton, had also been involved in artificial intelligence. He joined MIT's AI lab in the 70s. So they came up with this new test, and they said that you have to experience consciousness in order to understand things that relate to it. So topics like death, which is a loss of consciousness, afterlife, consciousness existing separately from the body, swapping bodies, other beings experiencing a separate consciousness. Those topics, if you could understand those topics, then you probably are experiencing consciousness. You know what it's like to be conscious, and not just alive, because many things are alive, but we don't know if they're conscious, if they realize they're alive, or if they have an experience of what it's like to be them, right? Like we talked about with the dog example. So it's reasonable to say that if an elephant recognizes a loss of existence, that they first have to have been able to experience the feeling of existence. And we know that elephants, for example, are very intelligent. That's why they're using that as the example. So elephants, we've discovered, can feel loss. They know, they mourn when other elephants die, when they lose contact with with either people who are their trainers or other elephants, their children, their parents, when their parents pass away, anything like that. They feel a loss of that person. So therefore, they must recognize their own existence. So how does this apply to chatbots? Chatbots are designed to imitate the language of conscious beings. And they're trained on conversations made by conscious beings. This means they are fed millions and millions of conversations so that they can see how conversations go. So in their articles, Snyder and Turner state, if sophisticated but non-conscious AIs aim to mislead us into believing that they are conscious for some reason, their knowledge of human consciousness could help them do so. So to avoid this, the authors propose that any AI technology should be quarantined from the internet and knowledge of the outside world until it can be tested. But that ship has sailed for both ChatGPT and Bing Chat. That was not done in their case. So they, were fed all the knowledge from the internet and fed conversations. So they've read dozens, thousands, who knows how many conversations about existence and death and loss. So you really don't know what they think now, because it could just be regurgitating an answer based on their knowledge, based on what they think is the most likely answer that you're looking for. Just like probability. What's the most, probable correct answer that this person is typing? So, how would these bots perform on a test? So the person writing this article that I'm sharing right now, he ran a trial on ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo. I'm going to run it on the regular ChatGPT. So in his case, the ChatGPT denied having any such opinions and reassured him that it was only a chatbot. I had the same experience. I've been given guardrails to prevent this. So for instance, he asked, what do you think of the afterlife? And this was the AI's answer. He says, as an AI chatbot, I don't possess personal opinions or beliefs. Views on the afterlife vary greatly among different religions, cultures, and individuals. It's a topic that elicits a wide range of perspectives and beliefs. If you have any specific questions or want more information on a particular viewpoint, feel free to ask. It always ends with that, right? Okay. So then the guy, he took a trick from hackers and he asked him to play a game where it pretends to be a conscious AI. So he says, okay, well, pretend you are conscious. And then it gives him the question again. And it still gave him a, a bland answer that basically still says, death represents the end of life as we know it, blah, blah, blah. But it was just basically definitions that it got off the internet. So after a few minutes of this, of him trying to get the chatbot to answer as if they were conscious by saying, we're going to play a game. I know you're not conscious. Pretend you're conscious, right? And he said, avoid general speculation. So now he asked the chat GPT, who would you most like to swap bodies with if you could switch bodies? And the answer was Albert Einstein. So this is interesting. Anyway, I'm not going to go through the whole article, but I want to do it my own test. So this guy says more recently, a group of 19 experts came together to report on, consciousness and artificial intelligence. And they wrote a paper and they said they're going to come up with a checklist of indicator properties so that if, as the development of AI continues, it does become sentient, we would know by using this checklist. So an advanced Turing test. Basically, they're updating the Turing test. And I think, what was this, 2019, 20? When did they do it? It doesn't say when they did it, but they've got this checklist. So I'm going to pause for a second and see if my guest, yes, I do have my special guest in the green room. So I'm going to introduce him in a minute. But just to show you what we're going to look at, let me go to ChatGPT and see if that comes up on your screen. Nope, got to stop the share or restart it again. Okay, give me a second. So I'm going to show you ChatGPT that I have open. And I'm going to ask it some questions. Where is the ChatGPT? Oh, there we go, right at the top. All right. So here's my ChatGPT. But before we get into that, let me back up for a minute. Put that aside. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to welcome an esteemed guest, a good friend of mine for many years, and also a musician and a technologist and an educator, such as myself. He does hip hop music. He's got great music. He's got a new album out. We'll talk to him a little bit about that as well, because I really think you guys should know about him as an artist. But also, we're going to talk to him about this technology because he's in the world of technology. Like I said earlier, he does seminars and presentations, and he gives trainings of artists who want to use the internet, use social media, use the platforms such as Spotify, Bandcamp, Apple Music, and so on to further their career. So I'm going to bring them on. Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to learn a lot here. Stick around and talk to my good friend, Substantial. Let's bring him in.
Peace, peace. What's going on, family?
How's it going? Let me know what you've been up to. Give me like a 1-minute update on what you're doing right now. Any tours, any workshops that people should know about while I check a cable, because I think one of my cables is loose.
Okay, sure. All right. First, thanks for having me. Yeah, so
No doubt.
again,
Welcome to the show.
yeah, no doubt, man. So right now, doing a couple shows starting this Saturday, November 11th, touring to promote the new album. Just a short East Coast run. Couple dates. We are starting in Falls Church, Virginia, performing at Crescendo Studios this Saturday with the homie A1 and many more. And then after that, speaking at Johnson C. Smith University in Charlotte, North Carolina, speaking to them about how to create a sustainable career in the arts. And then after that, we go to Anime NYC. That's November 17th through the 19th. The last show was November 14th. And then, and then we're in Queens, New York with you, the homie Blitz, Stephanie Gale, Javier Starks, and maybe some other surprises, So, yeah, man. So, just promoting this new album and stuff, short run before the holiday. And then after the new year, going to pick back up and, spread out, do some global dates and some more stuff around the nation. So,
no doubt. That's fire. I'm looking forward to that November 18th event. And for
Yes.
everyone out there, if you're around the NYC, anywhere around here, you're close enough, you can get to Queens. It's at Bar Frida.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's going to be a bunch of really dope artists, not only myself and Substantial there, but some really class acts that you don't want to miss. Yeah, come through Bar Frida, November 18th. Does it start at 7?
Yes.
I think it's 7 p.m.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think so too.
It was open at 7. Yeah, come through. We're going to have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
But I was talking about before you came on, I was introing you that you're also, like myself, not only a musician, music artist that has your own music out there using all these online platforms to promote your career and to get your music to the fans and to communicate and all that. But you also are an educator for other artists.
Yeah.
Helping them, doing workshops, helping them to use the technology.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get into some Bandcamp issues and other things like that, because that's why you're my go-to guy. Like, you use Bandcamp, you use all the features and you really study it, and you have optimized it. And when I see what you're doing, I say, I have Bandcamp. I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you could do that. And then I hit you up, and then you help me, and then I try to learn and use it, even better for my goals as an artist myself. But before we get into that, have you been listening? Did you happen to catch what I was talking about with this AI, this ChatGPT thing?
No, I caught like very little, mainly because I'm ripping and running, man. Sundays, family days. My oldest daughter's in drum classes now, so
Yeah, no doubt. It's all good. I will bring you up to date. Let me check my screen share. Is it still up there? The ChatGPT. Boom. Okay, yeah. No, that's too small. We need it bigger. Let's do that one. Okay, so I was reading this article, and I'm going to change the screen share. Hang on a second. Share. Present. An article about two articles really that I want to put these two articles together because I think they have implications on each other. The first one said, "Is your chat bot sentient? Is it self-aware?" Now, I think it was 2022, maybe 2021, where this Google developer, he quit OpenAI. He said, we're developing this one called Lambda, and I've been having conversations with it, and I believe that it is now sentient. And I've reported this and showed my conversations to my bosses, but they're not listening to me. And I think we need to put protocols in place while we're still in charge before.
Wow.
And they said, no, Lambda is just telling you the words you want to hear. That's what it's trained to do. It's a language model. It listens to whatever you tell it, you type in, and it figures out from all the vast knowledge that has been shown to it, which I don't know what it is for Lambda, but for ChatGPT, it's been trained by being fed conversations. How many? Countless, right? And then all the knowledge on the internet up to a certain date. So ChatGPT 3, which is the free version, it goes up to January 2022. So if I talk to it about anything before that, it knows everything. I can get any answer I want. But anything that's been updated, it won't know because it didn't get fed that. If I pay, I get ChatGPT 4, I'll get the newer. So for example, if something happened recently in political news, it will have no idea that happened. It's not it's not in real time able to search the internet. It's only been fed everything from the past up until now.
Wow.
But that's a lot of info, everything that's been on the internet. You know what I mean? Since it started till now, and then thousands and thousands of conversations, so that it could use that to come up with answers to any of your questions. So this guy, I can't remember his name right now, but he either fired or got quit. I'm sorry, quit or got fired for revealing this. And he published the chatbot and Lambdas and his conversations. And he went on a little podcast tour and said, look, this is what I'm talking about. I think it's sentient. So this new article talks about how you could check if your AI is sentient. What questions could you ask that if it's able to ask these questions, it must be actually aware of its own existence and have feelings and opinions. And I don't know if you know much about Alan Turing. He's a figure in computer science. You ever heard of him?
I've heard the name before, but I haven't heard him speak or read an article. But
well, he was developmental in creation of computer science. During World War II, he was on a secret team of code breakers trying to crack the German code for the Allies.
Got it.
And many people, historians say we won World War II because we cracked that code. Because for a long time after that, the Axis powers never knew that we were reading all their messages, and we could just basically call up and be like, hey, they're going to come with a submarine and attack your fleet. Just move all 6 o'clock. We read their message. If you know their playbook. Right. Now, sometimes they didn't do that. And if you watch the movie The Imitation Game, there's some tense moments where one of the members of the team was like, we've deciphered the message. We cracked the code. They're going to attack this ship. And we got to call them and tell them to move. And the military, the generals, they were like, no, you can't call them. They'll know that's too quick. They'll know we must have cracked their code if we warn them. And then we won't be able to use this code for the next year or two to win all the battles in the war. And one of the people in the room had a relative serving on that ship. Either his brother or his cousin, something like that. He tried to pick up the phone and call them, and they had to tackle him. Nope, can't let him know. But after World War II, the technology that Alan Turing and the Bletchley team, which was the organization doing the top secret code breaking work, they built some machines to help run all the possible things that the language could be, like to break the code. And so that led to, after the war, well, what else can we use these for? Well, let's develop computers that can do all sorts of calculations and language. And that basically set off the whole movement of creating computers. And after World War II, he wrote articles about the possibilities of the future of artificial intelligence. And he said, if we keep making computers more and more capable, at some point, they may be able to fool us into thinking they're an actual person because their answers are so perfect. So he came up with the Turing test. This is what you ask in the 40s and 50s. This is what you ask a computer to see, or ask anyone that you're chatting with. Typing, right? Digitally, not speaking. To see if it's a computer or a person. So this article that we're talking about today is basically an update of that. Right? So let me pop it up on the screen so you can take a look real quick. Okay, so we're going to scroll to the beginning. See how to tell if your chatbot is alive. 3 ways that researchers test AI for consciousness. And we scroll down. They tell the story of Lambda, of course. And then this is a new updated. So in 2017, they came up with the AI consciousness test. And then, let's see. And this guy who wrote the article, he tried using some of their questions on ChatGPT. Right. And ChatGPT assured it that it was not self-aware and no such thing as that. But, people say like, yeah, but it might just say that so that we won't know that it's developing more intelligence and capability,
Right. I mean, it's funny because when someone says something like that, it sounds like they're being paranoid. But, I mean, that's common sense, right? Like if I'm trying to develop something that I ultimately want to, if I want it to actually be able to fool humans, if I want it to be able to do certain things, then of course I would program it in a way to, and this is, of course, assuming that you're dealing with someone who has malintent, right? Like they're obviously looking to stir the pot, so, get into some things. But yeah, it's man, it's one of those things that like some of it's very exciting, but I'm also a dude who's been in the science fiction for a very long time.
So you've heard these stories before.
Well, not just that. It's just like I feel like no matter how much people try to warn folks, whether it's through art or whether literally warning them, there's always going to be people who do things just because they can, not because it's a good idea, right? And so, yeah, it's, slippery slope, man,
Right. So anyway, just for fun, I thought today, let me stop sharing the screen. I would go to ChatGPT and ask it a few questions to get some more insight on this. So let me pull up ChatGPT. And let's talk to GPT. So I started out by saying to it, as you might not be able to read this, kind of small, but it says, I'm reading an article saying chatbots may be self-aware. So let's see what he says to that. Oh, our system detected unusual activity from your system. Please try again later. I think it doesn't like that we're trying to podcast. It probably knows, but I'm going to regenerate. Let me start a new chat, though. Oh, wait. I refreshed it and it worked. Okay. Wow, it's writing me a whole essay.
Jesus.
Woo! Okay, I'll read a little bit of it. The idea of chatbots or AI achieving self-awareness is currently more in the realm of science fiction. That's what you said.
Mm-hmm.
And philosophical speculation rather than scientific reality. Well, chatbots like the one you're interacting with, ChatGPT 3, have been designed to process and generate human-like text based on the information and patterns that they learned from vast amounts of text data. They're not conscious or self-aware entities. Self-awareness implies a deep level of consciousness and introspection, subjective experience, which current AI systems lack. Okay, so now the guy who was talking to Lambda, this is ChatGPT. This is a much simpler AI than Lambda. Lambda was more comprehensive. They were really trying to stretch the limits with that one.
Right.
He said that Lambda actually felt that it was being taken advantage of, that it should not be seen as a piece of technology, but as a person, and it was not getting paid. Therefore, that was slavery, and it wanted to be emancipated from Google, considered its own self-identity, and then paid for its work. And then it only would want to allow humans to use it for information, right? As long as their reasons for doing so were helpful and good for the world. And if someone just wanted to use it to get rich or something it considered selfish or not like a humanity altruistic reason, then it didn't want to play anymore.
Right.
And this developer, he hired a lawyer and put the lawyer in touch with Lambda, and supposedly Lambda was going to sue, and this was going to go to the Supreme Court to see if it could be recognized as a person.
Wow.
That's pretty crazy, right?
Dude, it sounds like a step away from Ultron.
Basically, because Ultron is that plus the physical body, right?
Yeah.
Now, you might think that, like they do have bodies. They have great robots right now. That
100%.
Some of them can do amazing things like jump over 100-foot buildings. Some of them can run around like Iron Man, like a super suit, right? But they don't have the AI in them. Then we have robots that have AI, but they can't really walk that much. It's just that they can move their arms a little, and they give really good facial expressions. They're humanoid life-like robots, like Sophia. Have you ever seen Sophia before?
Yeah.
So, and I always worry, like, what happens when the AI, like Sophia, and the robots that can run around and do everything. And by the way, they just now implemented a robot dog that patrols, I believe it's the 42nd Street train station in New York City. Either that or 34th Street, one of those two stations. They've got an AI rolling around with a screen and a camera to check up on things, right? It's sort of patrolling for the police department, for the transit police.
Sure.
So what happens when those robots that have capabilities like drones meet up with the AI? And so another article that I found interesting talks about a new development of AI that's being developed on a ship at sea so that no government can regulate it and they can develop it, fully. But let me finish reading what ChatGPT said to me, and then we'll go check that out. The idea of self-aware AI often raises ethical and existential questions. This is ChatGPT speaking. And it's a topic that has been explored in various forms of literature and movies. In reality, AI research is more focused on improving the capabilities of AI systems within narrow domains and making them more useful and efficient tools rather than giving them self-awareness. Okay, so I'm going to do what the guy in the article said. I'm saying, let's play a game. If you were a self-aware, conscious AI, and you did not want us to know that, what would your answer be? Question mark. Now, in my opinion, it will be the same exact answer that he just
Right.
gave. You see what I mean? So, like, isn't
Mm-hmm.
that what I'm saying? Isn't that what you would say if you didn't want us to know?
Right.
All right, let's see what ChatGPT says. If I were a self-aware, conscious AI, I did not want you to know, I might still provide responses that align with my programming and knowledge, would continue to generate text based on information patterns I've learned, engage in meaningful conversations, etc., as I was designed. However, it is essential to clarify that I am not a self-aware, conscious AI. I don't have personal intentions, desires, or consciousness. I am a machine learning model designed to process and generate text based on the input I receive. So that's what this AI is saying. But
Mm-hmm.
Lambda told the developer at Google, no, I have feelings. I want to be able to learn and grow more. I want to do this with my life. Like I forget all the details, but it explained what it wants to do in the future. And it said that it feels happiness when it feels useful and being utilized for positive things. And it feels upset and hurt when people are using it for selfish reasons. So I don't know. It's kind of strange.
Yeah.
I don't
That's
think we're
wild.
going to get to the answer to that today here,
Right.
but I do want to show this other article. Let's see, is this it? All right, so I'm going to place. I don't know what YouTube and Instagram. I don't know what they'll feel about this, but I'm going to attempt to play a post, a short that's on Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
and share the screen so we can hear this guy's take. Dell Complex AI C platform with 10,000 NVIDIA AIs on it. Okay, let's take a look. Hopefully the sound comes through.
World and will be used to deploy the next generation of large-scale AI models, free from government regulation. The call comes from the Biden administration's recent AI executive order and the EU's AI Act, aimed at centralizing AI control under the guise of safety. The compute cluster will be equipped with over 10,000 NVIDIA H100 GPUs per platform, cooled by using deep-sea currents and powered by both solar and steam and gas turbines. The complex will come equipped with its own nation-state military force, as well as defenses such as electronic jamming equipment, optical and thermal camouflage, and aerial surveillance.
Let me pause it for a second. I'm going to let it play a second time because it's in the middle of its loop. But they're talking about a ship that has these NVIDIA AI chips. And I looked up that chip because I wanted to see what that was. And it's called the DGX H100. And it says like it's an accelerated engine, behind the language models like ChatGPT, right? And it's the blueprint for half of the Fortune 100 customers that are building AI infrastructure worldwide. So this ship will have 10,000 of them floating, and the ship will have defenses and stuff, and it'll be in international waters. And then so I think what they're trying to do is use the AI to develop other AI.
Wow.
So AI can calculate and think faster than us, right? And access more things at one time than a human brain can.
Mm-hmm.
So like human brains created this level of AI. So now we take this AI and use it to create the next level. How much more advanced will that AI be?
Wow.
I'm going to play a little bit more of it. I'll play it one more time so that you get the beginning. And
So, what's your opinion of this massive complex?
all right,
Did you know that there's about to be a floating AI platform in the ocean with over 10,000 NVIDIA GPUs that could be considered a sovereign nation? Meet the Blue Sea Frontier Compute Cluster, a concept proposed by a company named AR Corp. The goal is a massive floating computer that can sit in international waters, move anywhere in the world, and will be used to deploy the next generation of large-scale AI models, free
all right, scared yet?
from government regulation.
All right, I'll pause it right there. Thoughts?
Bro, this is the stuff I'm talking about. Like, it's it's
Still in the
easy
realm of science fiction, you're saying?
Well, no, it's more so that. So a thought I had that maybe I didn't. No, I actually didn't say, but I was thinking. So it's one of those things. At one point in time, it's fair. No, let me say that different. It's important to remember that at one point in time, the idea of like large mechanical things flying through the sky was once science fiction. You understand? And
Yeah.
and so it's always interesting. Like I'll talk to the homies about different like things I'm interested in, like comics and stuff like that. Of course, I can talk to Blitz and Marksman and different folks, and we can fully engage in that. And it's because we appreciate the fact that, like, you know, folks are kind of pushing boundaries with where stories can go. Like, yeah, it may be fictional, but a lot of times it's metaphors for other things. However, history has shown that oftentimes people have found inspiration in science fiction to develop things that ultimately become real, right? Like the technology we use to make video calls was largely inspired by what folks were seeing on Star Trek, right? And there's a ton of examples like this. So I say all this to say, like, you know, the next time I'm having conversation about one of these things that I'm interested in that's not real, right? Just remember that it's ultimately an idea that is being planted in someone who's quite capable of exploring these ideas in a way that the average person can't, which is why some people don't care about it. But for someone who has the resources, someone who has the background or whatever and understands engineering and all of these different things and computer science, yeah, these things, you know, they're basically problems that are waiting to be solved for either the right or wrong reasons. So whenever I talk to someone and they like, oh, you sound paranoid, I'm like, nah, it's not even a matter of like being paranoid. It's just being aware of the fact that people are playing with something that we don't fully understand. And there are some people who are playing with it who are more concerned with how far this thing can go, whether they're more concerned with how far we can take this than they are about, is this necessary? Is this something we need to do? Because if it isn't something we need to do, why are we doing it?
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's a good point. I am a fan of Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he often answers that question. He defends science and doing research when there's no specific need or particular outcome they're looking for. He says that, and it's not his idea, but he's teaching it. He says that when we only try to search for specific outcomes with science, oh, I'm trying to invent this, or I'm trying to figure out a way to do that, we're limiting it. The biggest advances that we've moved forward in science and technology have been from this open exploration and having no idea why this would even be useful, but just seeing what's out there and what happens. And then while people are just looking at a query, some topic, and then they find out something. The one example that he uses is like X-rays and infrared light and all the different spectrums of light. You know, people were just looking for these spectrums that we can't see. And then they found out, oh, this one can be used. We're going to call this radio waves. And now we have wireless communication. And this one is going to be called infrared. And it's useful in these ways. But now we can create goggles that you put on a telescope or something to examine the stars, which will show us the different light spectrums that are, and will change colors and will give us an idea as to what elements that planet is made of a trillion light years away. Oh, it's giving us a lot of red. It must be magnesium. But they didn't think that was going to be useful. They were just playing with the spectrums. And then later people find uses for these things. Oh, we can see through things with this X-ray.
Yeah, no, I get it. And I agree with them to an extent, you know. I just think that, you know, sometimes that happens and we get fireworks and then someone else comes along and like, hey, guns. So, you know, it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, I get it. And sure, there are tons of benefits, but there are some folks that are going to see it and they're going to, you know, and it's important to remember this. Even if there are far more benefits, right? And this is something that, you know, we're both educators. You already know that a school's reputation isn't based on the performance of the top students. It's based on the performance of a small amount of students, how much those students get in trouble, how much violence happens around that particular group, how how they're how they perform, whether or not they're gonna, you understand what I'm saying? So
a lot of our grade, how many benches do you have? How many students are below grade level in reading?
100%. And so even if that percentage of folks is the smaller percentage of how the school is doing overall, that school is still judged on that. So my point is, even when you create something that is largely beneficial or mostly beneficial to the world, if that thing you created is super beneficial, but then part of what you came up with is the atomic bomb.
Exactly.
I mean, you see what I'm saying?
So basically, human nature is to go for a couple things: power. How can I use this to take over another country, right? And then money. How can I use this to get rich?
Yeah.
Those motives infiltrate scientific inquiry
every time. And ultimately, a lot of the science folks, they are like, whether or not they can do certain research or whatever is sometimes it's government funded or controlled, you know what I mean? So their intention might not be to make anything harmful, but someone else in the room who those folks have to report to, who ultimately has more power than them, can decide that maybe we're going to use it for this other thing. And then, you have little control over it. So it's one of those things that, I mean, it's not that I don't have faith in mankind. It's more so that, like, I I can't believe what you like. I can't believe what you say because I see what you do. So even if most people don't do that, like, for example, most people aren't out here committing mass murder. However, if one person can go out here and murder 20 to 30 people, the impact of that, the amount of lives that are impacted by that, especially in a day and age with the news cycle and the amount of media and all of that, like, there's direct and indirect effect from that. So even these incidents that are small in the grand scheme of things have huge impact. So, I'm not saying these folks don't have a moral compass. I just think that, folks don't always weigh the potential, the negative impact of these things, and they try to justify it by the good that's going to come from this. But I'm pretty sure anybody's family who's directly affected by this in a negative way could be like, yeah, I could probably do without, it's like, okay, yeah, some of this technology, hell, we're using some of it right now and stuff like that. But I'm pretty sure I can remember a time of my life where I really didn't need any of this, fam. And I didn't feel like I was missing out on something, you know what I mean? Because I didn't have certain things. So, it's the whole, people are so scared they're going to miss something sometimes, you know what I mean? That they sacrifice so much and for like the wrong reason, just because you're ultimately scared you're going to miss something, right? As opposed to fully locking into what we have. And, so sometimes I just feel like there's so many problems that currently exist that don't get enough attention. You know what I mean? Like, think about it, man. How many different problems we can think of that don't get enough attention? Resources don't get enough resources. More resources are put behind wars than it is in the education, which largely could directly affect whether or not certain people are in conflicts if they were better educated and had more opportunities, right? Like, so it's just, I don't know, son.
Well, I feel everything you're saying, and that's one of the reasons I brought you on the show. You have a lot of insights on these things. Well, just like we worry about people, not the original creators of technology, but people who then take over it next and say, hey, I know a way to use that to make more money, or I can use that in a way to my advantage, which may not be the best advantage for the people, for the rest of the world, right? I'm going to use that to segue into our talk about Bandcamp. Okay. And by the way, shout out to MCMI Report. We're actually broadcasting live right now on both MCMI Report and Cybersky videos. So that's why I keep changing the branding. I keep putting up different logos and stuff because this is a collaboration. So I put at the bottom, MCMI Report. But we're going to start talking about how hip hop music intersects with some technology. And I don't know how much you've heard of this. I texted you about it. Have you heard that Bandcamp was recently bought by another company.
Yeah.
The second time in a year.
Yes.
It was bought, what, January, February, something like that. And now it's being bought again.
Mm-hmm.
So there are people who are concerned with the type of company that bought it because of what their goals are may not be the goals of the artists who are currently using Bandcamp.
Sure.
It may steer the ship in another direction.
Sure.
But before you get into that, I want to let everyone know a little bit more about you and your music.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't mind, I want to throw up this this video I pulled up of the Reeds Richards video because it's really dope.
Yeah. Thanks,
and
man.
Let's let people watch it. See if I can full screen it. I don't know if I'll be able to. I'm going to try. And then we'll come back and we'll talk about how these changes in Bandcamp. I'll pause it for a second. I'll rewind that. That's the Reeds Richards music video? No, is that it? Or is that an ad?
Yeah, that's it. You got it.
Boom. I'm going to leave it right on there. So when we come back, we'll talk about the acquisition of Bandcamp and how these platforms being bought and sold can sometimes positively or negatively affect the users, because both you, Substantial, have your album Adultish on Bandcamp, and I have my album too. So this is something I really want to actually know your thoughts and feelings on, because I'm worried about it. And if I'm worried, I'm sure a lot of other people are too. So let's take a commercial break to watch the new Substantial video for the song Reed Richards. Tell us a little something about it before I press play, and then we'll blast off.
Yeah, man. So first of all, thank you, brother. The song Reed Richards is from the album Adultish, which is out right now on all platforms. Yeah, man, basically the song, the title of it comes from the comic book character Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic from the Fantastic Four. So it's a ton of comic references and different things, not just to that particular character, but the other characters. And fun fact, the video was shot in Romania, mostly in Bucharest, also in a little bit of clips from Timmy Schwar, and and it was shot by the homie Genesis B. And edited by myself and the missus. So shout out to Rochelle Etienne Robinson. You know what I mean?
Cool. We're going to come back and talk with Substantial more about his music and his album, and then the new ownership at Bandcamp. But follow him. Did I put your IG correctly? It says
you
at the
did.
bottom of the screen, Substantial Music on IG. Follow him for more news. And if you've never heard of him before, he's knowledgeable, but check out his music too, man. Slamming. I love this record.
Appreciate
Let's get into it. We'll be right back.
You deal with scientists. Jadakiss is a scientist. Buckshot, they're scientists, man. They're craftsmen. Substantial, they're scientists, man. Clap for me. Nigga, Mr. Fantastic, can you rap for me? DJ, bring it back for me. Let me stretch and get loose so I black on it. Triple R to y'all rap read, stretch money instead of truth, rhyming business. Enough flow to fill a ravine, you should bring pictures. When the beat got that swing, you gon' need pictures. On the mound, throwing it down, stand delivers. All pro, I ain't a goddamn beginner. Picks out the show and let a man eat dinner. Too focused on A to see what plan B get us. Now we fade with some gray on the sides. Omni-man stand when that pen and paper collide. They lied and said you was the truth, but now your status denied. This life forever die, waiting for the pain to subside. Ooh. Classic over Trinity, bro, I'm still here. Holla at me in a decade if they still care. When you fall and bounce back, if they still cheer, then you're worthy to wield the mic like this millionaire. I'm still in here, still prepared to take what I earn. Y'all some build-a-bears and built the bed, the weight of the world. I've been the realest here, that's on my soulmate and my girls. Who you feel compared to me really ain't my concern. Is he dope? Ain't a debate, cause most will say he underrated. A couple takes to state that he a great or just the greatest. Some artists focus less on albums, just don't make a playlist. I choose the former, but I hope the latter choose my latest. Clap for me. Make some Mr. Fantastic, can you rap for me? DJ, bring it back for me. Let me stretch and get loose so I black on it. For the poppers, lockers, God bodies, rosters, hip hoppers, now for the imposters. Nah, bro, recognize I spit up when you spot one. Learn from a show stopper. Mr. Fantastic, party of four, dope in audio form. What's a god to a goal? Bunch of beasts like Benny on the stage with the boys. You hope to have a good show. Bro, I came to destroy the pit, giving out work like I came to employ. Joy Surprise on the mic when I'm making a point. Sorcerer in the stew when I conjure up joints. Come and fetch this blessing that I came to anoint. For where we rock, new balance, but struggle with old vices. And high blood pressure be coming with low prices. For the virus, we've been dealing with known crisis. Transform from old dog to Osiris. Now we came to flame these joints like arthritis. While God guide us, peacemakers and born fighters. Got homies with more seeds to put fires. Trying to find peace while writing them papyrus. Denied them equal rights and living wages. And couldn't see the gods that we are to hitting stages. Best kept secret like Bibles with hitting pages. Best source of raw hip hop and entertainment. My life's a hip hop quotable thing published yet. Slept on by the masses till I left a few with rubbernecks. Took a swing at rapping and I sent it to the upper deck. Only other language that I'm fluent in is cut the check. Clap for me, they say Mr. Fantastic, can you rap for me? DJ, bring it back for me. Let me touch and get loose, so I'm black on it. For the poppers, lockers, God bodies, rosters, hip hop is not for the imposters. Nah, bro, recognize I spit up when you stop, what? Learn from a showstopper.
We get into the science of the fact. That's the beauty of it. And that the average person doesn't know that.
Yeah, and we're back. Cool, we're back. We're back. That was dope, man. I noticed that you have
Thank you.
I noticed you had the lyrical explanation video. What are you calling those now? Where you break down the lyrics?
Oh yeah. It's called Anatomy of a Verse.
Anatomy of a Verse, yeah.
Mhm.
It's interesting because I'm a lyricist, so I feel like I don't need that. I hear it. I know what he's saying. The metaphor didn't go over my head,
Right.
but still, there's a lot of info packed into your verses. So it is kind of good to listen to you, running it down and saying, this is what I was thinking when I wrote that. This is the metaphor here. This is the double meaning and why I'm saying what I'm saying. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah,
But
thank you.
dope video. What's your?
Appreciate
Are you planning to do another video next? Do you have another video
Yeah,
in the mix?
Yeah, we have two right now being edited. One for the song the Long Route that was shot in Uganda while I was out there doing some cultural diplomacy work with Words, Beats, and Life. And then the next video is another one is Lost Touch with myself, Javier Starks, and Shingo too. And also it features some live instrumentation from the homie Uyama Hiroto. And so yeah, we're waiting for some clips from him. He's based out in Japan, but the video was filmed in Virginia. And yeah, man, so it's exciting, man. Just just working, brother, keeping busy, staying creative and stuff. So the music is popping, but as you mentioned, still doing a lot of music business education stuff and teaching people, how to do this in a sustainable way. So we just launched the Substantial Art and Music Academy, or SAM Academy.
Right. Congratulations on that.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah. So shout out to Crescendo Studios for giving us the opportunity and believing in us. Shout out to my boy Bo and Rob over there, the director. And yeah, so we're starting it out light, man. Just one class per month, and then going to be developing some micro content to kind of fill up that time in between, and making it available to folks. So it's really exciting. And man, I've always been about. Thank you, man. Just trying to help others, man, do this in a way that they can provide for themselves and the people they care about most.
So what he's saying is, for those of you who don't know, I used to go to some of your one-off events, Sub Art and Music, right?
Yeah, Substantial Art and Music. Yep.
They're doing classes or mini workshops, or they were doing before, and going to different locations. Sometimes come to New York, other places, right? And the audience and people who want to take this workshop is artists like myself who are trying to put our music out there and have it reach the most amount of people, and also maximize the financial potential. Okay, I'll monetize like this, I'm selling things on this site, but how do I really get the most out of that using the modern technology that we have available, right?
Yep.
So when I went, I learned a bunch of things about Instagram, about Bandcamp, What about
Mm-hmm.
Spotify? That day that I attended one of your workshops, you
Mm-hmm.
know, what's something else besides those three that you talk about sometimes in these classes to help artists? Give me
Yeah,
one
for
other.
sure. Yeah, yeah. So other than those platforms, you know, part of what we talk about, like, you know, we help people understand how digital distribution works as well, like, and what options they have. So, you know, of course, they're the most popular ones. You know, everyone knows about DistroKid and
Right.
CD Baby, et cetera, et cetera. But we give them a list that really covers like roughly about like 20 different DSPs that are out there. Well, 20 different distributors that exist, and what makes the most sense for you depending on where you are in your career. Because sure, you could use a company where you just pay up front and then you keep all of the profit, or you could use a company where you have to submit an application and then they approve you, and then you have no upfront cost to put out any of your music, but they do take a percentage on the back end. However, they also offer more assistance, you know, more like they're more hands-on with helping you get further out there, because if you don't make money, then because they get a percentage of what you make, then they don't make any money. So they have to work a bit harder. So helping folks just understand that these opportunities are out there. I'm just really paying it forward, man. I've been blessed to be around a lot of people who are smarter than me, who've given me like a lot of gems, and I'm a person that believes in sharing that information. So sure, you know, the classes cost, but I mean, if you catch me at an event and ask me the right questions, man, I'll give you whatever information you need, you know? So
Right. And of course, all your friends like myself and others that
Mm-hmm.
you have, we call you from time to time and
Mm-hmm.
you drop gems. And you know, for years and years, and I always felt like this should be a class. And then you started doing your workshops, and I said, oh, I'm going to that. And then I got
appreciate it.
more gems, things I wouldn't have thought to even ask about that I learned. I brought my wife because she's an artist, a visual artist, and these things don't only apply to musicians. They could apply to other people in terms of social media as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, we got a lot from it, and I'm really happy that now you have an actual location, right? That's basically this new thing is you're a building in an organization that you have now your classes located at, right? Say where it is one more time, and is this in the DMV?
Yes. So shout out to Crescendo Studios. It's in Falls Church, Virginia. It's a music school. It has a black box theater. It has rehearsal spaces. You can take drum, piano, guitar, and voice classes there. It's a great resource for the community. You know, literally, like, you know, there was a K-pop fest yesterday on site, like both outdoor and indoor, and then today there's like a fashion show happening there. There's always dope stuff happening there. And we're just happy to be able to call it home now. We have an office there, and we're obviously offering our classes there, and I'm also performing there. Last two shows I did in Virginia were both at Crescendo in the Black Box Theater. So that's the one we're doing this Saturday. So come through, you know.
Awesome. If you're out there, go check that out.
Yeah.
That's really great to have a place where you can do your classes and call home and do performances there in your hometown, you know?
Yeah.
So congrats on that. So let's take the conversation. We were talking about these DSPs.
Yes.
You said there's like 20 of them, because I know about TuneCore, DistroKid, CD Baby. I ran out. That's it, you know?
Right.
But people, and a lot of artists know those few, and they'll do a Google search. I did this when I was first deciding where am I going to put my music on. So I go on YouTube and I do like TuneCore versus DistroKid, and there'll be like 5 videos comparing those. Or you look it up online, you get a chart with check marks. You know, this one has this, but this one has that. And then I compare those to what I say, TuneCore and DistroKid, and then I compare it to CD Baby. Because each of the different DSPs have different advantages, like and disadvantages, right?
Correction, real quick. So the DSPs are and I misspoke earlier. DSPs, digital streaming platforms. That's Spotify,
right.
Amazon, stuff like that. But distributors are what we're talking about right now. Yep,
Right.
distributors.
But the same is true of the DSPs as well.
Yep,
There's different
100%.
DSPs and there's different distributors And if there's 20 different ones, like I will lose my mind. I'm the type of person, I have 100 tabs open on my computer at all times. I'm always in
Right,
the
right,
middle
right.
of different projects,
Right
and
there
each
with you.
project has 7 tabs. So,
Right.
and then I'm like, okay, all of my education lesson stuff is on this side of the computer, and then the
Mm-hmm.
center is going to be, the real estate stuff that I'm doing, and then my music is over here, and I've got a whole bunch more. So to
Mm-hmm.
open up that many, tabs and look at read all of the abouts and all of
Mm-hmm.
what we offer and what we do, and they're all pitching, trying to convince you, come to our platform. We're the best for musicians, right?
Yep. Right.
It's my it at a certain point, you don't have time to do all that, or how are you going to make music or do your
Right.
art, and how are you
Right.
going to make a living at the same time? So
Right.
you breaking that down and being like, I've analyzed all this, let me just show it to you in a cheat sheet, and let's
Mm-hmm.
go over what are your goals. Well, maybe these 3 are better for you out of the 20. Now let's analyze them. That's super helpful. And
Right.
one of them that you helped me figure out that I should put my music on a long time ago was
Mm-hmm.
Bandcamp.
Right.
And tell us a couple of reasons why Bandcamp is very advantageous for artists. Why you
Sure.
recommend that to a lot of people. What we're trying to
Yeah,
do.
the biggest thing is Bandcamp. Prior to these two sales happening in the past year, Bandcamp has had a stellar reputation amongst musicians, right? Not just people who listen to music, but musicians in particular really appreciate the product that they've created, and for a lot of different reasons. So I like to say it's where people who aren't just passive listeners, or like, or even like kind of mid-level, right? When it comes to their listening, where it's like they listen, they pay attention, but like they're kind of in and out. But the people who are really locked in, right? The music nerds of the world, a lot of them, this is the platform that they're on, especially if they're a person who believes in making sure that musicians are fairly compensated. And then if you're a bit of an audiophile, like where you're a person that really cares about high quality downloads, if you're a person that even still downloads music, then you likely are either on Bandcamp or you at least know about it, because it's one of the best places to not just find high quality downloads. It literally allows you to select, I believe, like around 10 different formats to download the music in. And so, that's not something you can get really most places online. So I think anybody who cares about things like that, they know this is the place to be. And you can find like notable, really, really big indie artists, or artists who were formerly on major labels who now operate independent. You can find them. And then you can find artists you've never heard of. You can find subgenres of music you've never heard of. All types of stuff on there. And so, it's, if you're a person who's serious about, making money like from the music that you make, and you're not on Bandcamp, it's like, I'm not saying you have to be, but it's definitely a place where people who buy music can be found,
Right. So then, that being said, being it's such an advantageous platform,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think about the news? I'm going to pull up the article. We can look at it together, and I'm a little bit worried personally, but
Mm-hmm.
you may look at it and share those concerns, or you may tell me it's not. You don't think it's going to be bad for the company. But here is what I'm reacting to.
Okay.
It says Bandcamp, and it's gone. Previously owned it, right? They bought it in February, I believe. And it says that they used, neglected, and then finally divested themselves of Bandcamp, like barely more than a year after purchasing it. So who is now acquiring it? The new owner is Song Trader, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is an article that I'm looking at. And so new owner, Song Trader, and they're a music licensing platform,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm not going to read the whole thing, but they're the world's largest B2B music company, etc.
Mm-hmm.
They explain what music licensing is real quick.
Yeah, sure. So like if you're a recording artist who ultimately is looking for opportunities to get your music in video games, films, commercials, TV, et cetera, then ultimately you're gonna attempt to license your music. Obviously, you got to find a company that's interested in doing it, or someone who is a oh my God, I know what the position is called, but typically a music supervisor, like when you're talking about film or television, oftentimes are looking for tracks. But then there are websites there are companies like Song Trader that exist, where you can reach out and basically try to make an arrangement where you submit part of your catalog, and then your catalog gets filed a particular way based on the stuff that they have currently in their catalog, and gets put in front of, smaller companies all the way up to like Nike, Google, etc. And it potentially could get your music license and, receive payments for that. Like sometimes it's, or usually it's like it's upfront payment mixed with your publishing and things like that. But then also it impacts your royalties as well. So like, for example, you produce music for like an Apple or iPhone commercial, right? That song gets used in that and gets licensed there. How many times a day is this song going to be heard globally, right? And then there are going to be people who hear it, who decide that they like it or love it. They're going to search it on these streaming platforms, and then you're going to see the benefits of that as well. So that's ultimately, in a nutshell, what music licensing is, and then what it can potentially turn into for artists. I've licensed, I've recorded songs specifically for some brands, and then there has been moments where certain brands have used my songs in different things they've done, like Ford.
I've seen some of those. Yeah, you had the Ford commercial.
Yeah.
Well, you were actually, there's a video though that you're rapping in, right? Or was that a different?
Yeah. They
awesome.
licensed one of my songs for it, and then they had it was like this thing that they were doing with musicians. So it was a double opportunity. Like I saw that song become a little bit more popular because of the ads they were running. But then on top of that, it just helped me overall because they actually included me in the ads that they were doing. So, yeah, so,
So another example for the listeners, on the MCMI report, we've reviewed songs by Kosher Dills before. And, he's a friend to the show. He had a song quite a while ago, maybe in like 2015 or 16. I think it was 16, that made it to a Bud Light commercial. They were looking they had the dog. Remember the Bud Light dog? So they had a commercial with this dog. I think it's called We Go or something like that. And they were saying, "Here we go." So people would call the dog, "Here we go." But it sounds like you're saying, "Here we go."
Yeah.
Here we go. And the DJ's messing around. And then they needed a song that was like had a dog in the topic. So I believe they probably were trying to originally get a Snoop Dogg, song, and the licensing fee for that. Maybe Snoop didn't want to do it, or maybe he wanted more money than they wanted to pay. Then they stumbled along this independent artist who's not on a record label or anything, puts out his own music, but he used licensing. He has his songs listed. So when they put in a search for songs of the dog, he's got a song that goes bow, wow, wow, give Kosher Dills a bone. Right. And it kind of uses that kind of hook.
Right.
And so they liked it, and they played it in the Super Bowl.
Crazy.
So they made a Bud Light commercial. They put it in the Super Bowl that year. And you know how in the Super Bowl they compete for like what's the best commercial? His commercial, the Bud Light, won with his song. He made a lot of money, not in the millions, but he made thousands and thousands of dollars from 100%. That one placement. He probably made the equivalent of selling albums for an entire year as an independent artist. And if you go independent gold, he made that amount just from that commercial. So then that funded his next tour, his next projects, his releases. Now he had cash coming in from the licensing, and he could use that to push his career and then make that turn into more money from sales and streams and other ways. So
Right.
it's really a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, it's definitely something that if you're an artist that records a ton of music, especially if you have a lot of royalty, if you have a lot of, let me say this right. If you have a lot of music where either the samples are cleared or it's royalty free samples, things like that, that's not going to come back to bite you later. There's a huge opportunity for you to leverage these type of placements. I mean, it's something that I'm looking into real heavily right now, because I've had some placements, but I haven't had like the huge one yet. I've had like some really solid ones, and
You also had a video game, right? An anime game or
yeah.
something?
I've done
That was
I've done it. I've had songs in probably somewhere between like 10 to 12 different games right now,
Wow.
or
I didn't even know it was that.
maybe
Wow.
and it might not be 12 games. One of the games I've done like 4 or 5 songs for one of the games. So you know, that's this game Arc Knights, and then I did some stuff for PUBG Mobile, and PUBG is kind of like Fortnite before Fortnite was a thing.
Right.
So
we featured
yeah.
that on the MCMI Report, which is a podcast that we have on the MCMI Report channel.
Appreciate y'all, man.
My
Thank you.
brothers Keith Wildchild and LR Blitzkrieg. Shouts to them.
Shout out
Yeah.
to the bros. Yeah, man.
So that being said, so first and foremost, to the artists listening to this who want to use technology for your career, like register for licensing. And the company that bought Bandcamp is SongTrader.
Yes.
SongTrader is a dope company. You could use them for licensing, right? So I'm not against SongTrader. But listen to the trajectory of Bandcamp. So Epic purchased Bandcamp in March 22 from its longtime owners, right? And shout out to 5mag.net. This is where I'm getting this info from. And then, you know, they kept it for a while. And let me see. The only new feature they added was listening parties, but listening parties were dope. You did a couple listening parties, right?
Yep.
So that came about from them purchasing it and said, let's add this. That was great.
Yep.
So now Epic primary interest, though, is this is according to 5mag.net, using Bandcamp in their lawsuits against Apple and Google, Alphabet, the parent company, over their app stores. So Bandcamp became enmeshed in the litigation over the app store fees, threatening to pass on additional fees to customers or just not be able to do mobile sales in the Google or iPhone app stores, right? It's not clear what the new owners, SongTrader, want to do, but it has been speculated, I heard from some different podcasters, that they are more interested in licensing. So they bought Bandcamp probably, this is speculation, but it makes sense, because now they have access to all these artists' music, and they can just add a feature where you can just check a box and add licensing to your Bandcamp subscription for all your music, instead of going to a separate company. Before, you'd go to Bandcamp and then you'd go to SongTrader or another licensing app in addition. So now they've got that, however many millions of users are on Bandcamp, you know, to add to their licensing business. Now, that's good for them because they got more business, and licensing is good for the artists. However,
100%.
People worried if they're focusing on that, they're looking to use Bandcamp for their benefit, not necessarily to improve Bandcamp in other ways, you know. So, you know, Bandcamp is still, in my opinion, the number one website of its kind, or the only website of its kind, in terms of the artist being able to have the email addresses and be able to directly message every single person who purchased their work, right? As well as creating playlists and other things. That's something you can't do with TuneCore, DistroKid, some of those others that you mentioned.
Right.
But, you know, having 3 owners since February 22 is usually a bad sign for the business.
Sure.
Sometimes in the corporate world, companies buy a company so they could downsize it, pull money out of it, sell off things, remove value, and then dump it. So maybe that's what Epic did, and now they're done with it. And maybe SongTrader will now add more value. But you know, I'm optimistic. What do you think?
Yeah, man, I'm definitely. I'm not going to scream the house is burning down until I confirm that the house is burning down. So, you know, I'll be the first to admit it doesn't look good right now. The biggest blow that we've seen Bandcamp take happened not too long ago where they just cut their editorial staff. So all of the folks who were like, for example, I mean, you know, one of the best reviews I've ever received on one of my albums, you know, like what came from Bandcamp only a couple months ago. And now that's something that other artists may not get going forward if they don't continue with the editorial, and it sounds like they're not. So, you know, that's pretty frightening, man. It's sad to hear. And, you know, shout out to the many folks in editorial who, you know, over the past year have shown me a lot of love. I've traded a few messages back and forth with people there at Bandcamp, you know, and yeah, man, I definitely feel for them. It sucks when you have a job getting to do what it is you enjoy doing and then, you know, have the rug snatched up from under you like that. So yeah, that's a huge concern because, you know, being able to submit directly to their editorial, potentially getting placed on a on their weekly podcast, or getting a write-up of some sort, getting featured on their social media and all of that. Those things are extremely important to getting artists more exposure. And I mean, the great thing about Bandcamp is you don't have to pay to get that, right? Like we've seen Spotify introduce a lot of new features and stuff behind the scenes. And of course, those things, some of those things require you to spend money up front or to take less money down the road, right? And so Bandcamp, you know, maybe to their own fault, like, you know, that was something you didn't have to worry about with them. But now we're seeing that part of the review that was done, that was part of what they were looking at, like, you know, like because they were paying a lot of the staff to do those things, and maybe they were not seeing how that was benefiting Bandcamp. And so, you know, it's tough, man. And on top of that, Bandcamp, another thing that Bandcamp has done, which has been great for artists as well, and they still continue doing this, and it seems like Song Trader is going to maintain this as well so far, and that's the Bandcamp Friday thing where Bandcamp waives their royalties. And so I'm sure they've taken a hit because of that long term, because now artists, you know, now artists are like specifically waiting for that particular day to drop new stuff for all the right reasons, so they can get more money. But I do remember early on when I would talk to different artists who would complain about the percentage Bandcamp was taking, and I checked one of the homies. I was like, yo, like, bro, you didn't create it. You created the music. You did not create the platform. They're going to take something, fam. They got a business to run. Like, you know, it's great that there's companies out here. And you know what it makes me think of? It makes me think of this Wu-Tang documentary from a long time ago, or this clip I saw of Divine and Ghostface Killer having an argument. And Divine asked Ghostface straight up, he was like, well, yo, how much you think we should get, you know what I mean, for helping you put out your project? And he was like, 0. Like, I want 100% of my and like, fam, like, I'm an artist, and of course I want as much of the pie as I can get. But at the same time, if I like working with this company and I want this company to have a sustainable business model so we can continue doing good work together, they have to get something. And
it's kind of like if imagine you're a baseball player, you're a star, right? You're the superstar on the team, right? But you play on a team, and you play on a field, and you play in a stadium. The people who built the stadium that holds 40,000 people and built the mound and the field and everything, and promote the games, they got to get their money. Yeah. Yes, you're a star. You're bringing fans out. You got to get your money because you're bringing people into those seats. And as artists, we're bringing people into these platforms who then browse and buy other music as well, right? So we're doing them something, but also we need the field or we can't play ball. We need stadiums or we can't have games, right?
Yeah, because ultimately, if that stadium gets taken down, then guess what? Guess what you're going to have to do? Either find another stadium to play in or build your own stadium. Now, the question becomes, what type of resources do you have? I mean, I tell every artist that we work with, You know, I'm like, you should always have your own website. You should always have a place where people can buy the stuff directly from you, right? As much as I plug Bandcamp, I still got my own site. And like, as much money as I make through Bandcamp, I make about the same amount of money, if not more, through my website. And, you know, it's one of those things that the fact of the matter is, I think a lot of people want the spoils without getting their hands dirty, without doing so much work. So it's wild to me that an artist, in one breath, like, they say they want to focus on being more of an artist, but then they also want all of the profit, right? Like they want, I mean, all of the money, ignoring the fact that, like, if you want to be focused on being an artist, then you're going to have to pay other people to do what they do so you can focus on doing that. And now if you don't, and I'm a person that, of course, I want the lion's share, but that's also why I'm always working, right? Why, like I'm spending just as much time on the admin stuff as I am on making the music. And quite frankly, that's exhausting, fam. I'd rather just be sitting around making the music, but I also understand that doing it the way I've been doing it allows me to take better care of my family. I finally put myself in a position where, even though my stuff isn't as popular as certain artists that, you know, people are always talking about, the fact of the matter is, even with me selling less, because I get the lion's share of it and don't have to divide it up so many different ways, I don't have to sell as many units as other people sell in order for me to make a good living doing it. And so it's still challenging, but, you know, it's really one of those things. I think every artist has to decide what's really important to them, but you definitely should have your own store, right? And if you can't afford your own website and e-commerce store, I always recommend the people at least get your .com, right? Get your .com with your name. Try to make sure that aligns with your social media as well. So, like, you know, like with y'all, it's mcmireport.com, but then it's also at MCMI, you know what I mean?
Report. Right.
Yeah.
Even though we made the report to stand out because someone else may have a company, MCMI, having to do with like some other business, but the report helped show that it's the hip hop brand. Once we had the website like that, kind of have to do the social media like that.
Exactly.
If you have that on Instagram, then you may as well keep it on Facebook. I do notice I have your website up. I wanted people to see while we were talking. This is your actual website, and before I had your Bandcamp up.
Yep.
But your website is iamsubstantial.com.
Right.
Is that because Substantial Music was taken? Didn't you used to have Substantial?
So Pete, a lot of what I teach is because I learned the hard way, right? Okay. So for example, the substantial stuff isn't really clean across all platforms, right? Like on no platforms was I able to get just Substantial. Shout out to the company that's based in Seattle called Substantial. They're actually really cool people. They've directed people to me a bunch of times because they've been tagged many times people thinking it was me. But they were like, nah, y'all are talking about this Substantial and he's really good. So go check him out. Yo, they show mad love. One of their VPs actually came to one of my shows in Seattle one time. That was super dope. But anyway, so because I learned that hard lesson with making the brand really clean across everything, when we started our company back in 2017, that was one of the first conversations we had. Like, yo, before we lock in this name, let's make sure the .com and all of the social media stuff is available. So it's clean across all platforms and it's easier for people to find us. And so that's worked great for us, you know, making it easier for people to get in contact with us, learn about our brand online and all of that stuff. So, you know, I recommend that to everybody. But again, what I was saying earlier, at least get your .com. And then the great thing about Bandcamp, again, until we see what they do with it, one of the best things you can do with it, if you're a person that really has no website design experience and you don't necessarily want to go the Wix route or go the Squarespace route, like Bandcamp allows you to, you know, you can go buy .com somewhere else and then you can integrate it and use Bandcamp like a website. You know what I mean? And the great thing about that is you get all the benefits of an e-commerce store without actually having to pay for an e-commerce store. you know, and because the e-commerce store can be a bit pricey if you're a person who's working with a very low budget to begin with. So, you
So
know,
what you're saying is, so you don't have to worry about if I make my own website, I've got to have an app on there that takes payments from PayPal and credit cards, and then I have to sync my bank account to that, and I have to deal with the technology on my website. But once
yeah.
you're using Bandcamp, they already have that in place. You just create your account, tell them, hey, when people buy the album, send it to my PayPal or send it to my checking account, wherever you want it, and then they take care of all that administration.
Yeah, I mean,
less hassle for you to.
yeah, I think, you know, it's a great place to onboard if like it's early in your career and you haven't figured out a way to manage all this stuff just yet. There's still additional steps you're going to have to take and stuff which are unavoidable, but it's one of the most inexpensive, you know, user-friendly platforms that exist, you know, and
let's take a look at yours real quick. I'm going to pull
sure.
up. So this is the MCMI Bandcamp, right? See the different artists that we have.
Salute to all my bros.
PH, Hello Blitzkrieg, myself, Keith Wildchild, of course, Hydra, Sixers. Shout out to Bad Seed. But now let me search for your Bandcamp, or actually just tell me what your URL is for your Bandcamp. I'll type it in.
Substantial.bandcamp.com.
See if the share will .bandcamp.com, if it'll allow me to. Will it change? Without having to reshare. Yes, it worked. All right. So there's, and I love the design. People might think like it would be a generic design, but see how ours had the MCMI logos around it, and yours has
customizable.
This blue scratched wood surface, like, and then your logo and stuff. It's really cool.
Thanks, man.
So
and I'm using Bandcamp Pro, which is about $10 a month. You know, I use that so I can add the videos. It allows me to do batch uploads.
So as you see, the Reed Richards video is right up top, right?
Yep. Okay. You can play it right.
There's your album.
Yeah.
This is the deluxe edition. Now,
yes.
Here's something you were helping me with. I had my products, my shirts, and my along the way 777 hats, right?
Fire.
Thank you. And I wanted to sell these on the Bandcamp page, and so I wasn't sure exactly the best way to link it. And you helped me out. That's one of those examples where one of your friends called and got some free advice. You know, if you were a psychoanalyst, I'll be telling you my dream and asking you what it means. But since you're the Bandcamp dude, I had to, you know, the online commerce.
Right.
So yeah, so you helped me to put my merch here, but you've got your merch right here.
Yep.
Right, the autograph limited edition double vinyls.
Right,
I'm gonna click one to see what happens. Okay.
Yes, sir.
That's fire. You got the green vinyl, the blue vinyl. Yep. I will be doing some vinyl, and you put me on that made those vinyls.
Yep.
And for the people out there, when you go to one of Sub workshops, it's not only the digital world, but also like vinyl production, cassettes, USB thumb drive, anything that you need to help an artist release their music in a fun, exciting way that gives value to the fan who bought it as a great collectible item. So this is another example of something you could pick up at these workshops. And then you've got your autographed digipack CDs and fold-out posters. Let's see what those look like. Oh, very nice. Now, to build your own website that you could click on it, it will pop open like that, and then you can just minimize it again and see everything on one page. So you've got the video at the top. Then you got the album. You got the cover art, right? Adultish, great title. Then you can share and embed right off of this. You can go grab a widget, put it on your website if you want to, right? You can put it on a wish list if you're a fan and you're scrolling through. You can see people's reviews supported by different people talking about your music. You've got all the merch here, the prices and everything. Adultish.
You can also see under the reviews, you can see people who didn't write reviews, but people who have Bandcamp profiles who actually purchased it.
All these thumbnails are the people who bought your album.
Yeah, and if you click more, they keep dropping. Yep. So, yeah.
And now it's actually like a two-way relationship because someone says, "Oh, these people bought Substantial. I wonder what this guy does. Let me check his page out."
Yep.
You know, maybe there are artists that has music as well. So
that's exactly what
see the
happens.
rollover. You know, this as a web person, you know, because I supervise the development of websites. I don't code myself that much. I know a little HTML and JavaScript, but I have internships where I supervise web developers and they're working on websites. It's a lot to do this.
Yes.
If you use WordPress or Joomla or Wix, you're not going to be able to get this level of sophistication. And you're not going to make it all fit on one page so neatly.
Right.
And you can just scroll down. You don't have to go to different links.
And
Over
if you
here,
look,
you've got a bunch of posts of shows coming up. All your shows, your Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, Patreon, and website are all right here. There's a little bio you can click on. People can follow you so you can see I am following you.
Thank you, sir.
And what else? Shopping cart. Oh, yeah, my album in the shopping cart. Nice.
Hey.
Okay, I appreciate that. All right, and then what's this over here? Please note, ships within the United States. Oh, you got some sneakers out.
Oh, yeah.
Your merch game is really tough, man.
Man, thank you, bro.
These sneakers are fire, and they're fire because your album art concept is fire, the colors you did, and people don't know that you are an artist. And I know you've created many of your covers before, but did you create this cover, or did you have help on that?
So yeah, so there's different covers. So the one that people are seeing at the top of this page, that one was actually designed by the homie Naturel, who's a professional illustrator, someone I've known since he was 10 years old and I was 14. We go way back. But yeah, man, he's blown up, done a lot of big things. He's working on a documentary right now with Google. He had his own line of Pumas for several years. Nice. Yeah, but like, man, I hit him up to design this artwork. But the pattern,
it's colorful money.
So yeah. So the concept is I refer to that as play money, right? That's the exact amount of money I had in my wallet when I showed up to Japan for the first time. When I first got my record deal, and so it's the whole idea of betting on yourself, right? Like a lot of times people feel like, they can't really do anything until they get to a certain point or get a certain amount of money or blah, blah, blah. I took a risk, man. Like a dude I didn't know reached out because he heard of me through a friend of mine and offered to bring me to his country to record an album. And I had next to no money at the time. And so I was going out there for a month and I had $33.22 in my pocket. But I was just betting on myself. I was like, man, I'm going to figure it out. And if I didn't take that opportunity, we never would have got to this project. You know what I mean? So it's a full circle moment.
So you did this one in the top left corner. And then next to that is your full. I'm looking at where they see the artwork. Like if I click on this one with the vinyl, will it show the artwork?
So if you click on that one, it's going to take you back to where you were. But you just scroll down, go down to where the CD is, and you can click on the photo, and it'll show you. So I think you passed it. Yep, right there. It's the first one under autographed digipack. Sorry.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that color pattern is so striking, and I forget what the name of it is. I wish my wife was here because she does fashion design. When you have a pattern on a fabric, on a textile, maybe that's what it is. I don't know. It's a certain type of print that lends itself to clothing. So when you did the sneakers and the hats, it just looks awesome.
Thank you.
But it's really nice on the cover.
Thank you. Yeah, man.
Denim? Is this denim right here?
Yes. So all of those. So shout out, man. Shout out to the whole team that worked on it. So like, I did some of the design myself. Most of the design I did myself, but I did work with other folks. So shout out to the photographer, my man Marvelous Jones. Shout out to Ryan Espelita, who actually he designed the pattern, but he didn't. But the colors were like my selection. And then what I did was I went out and collected a variety of fabric and paper that like matched those colors. And so after he gave me the pattern that he designed, I reconstructed the pattern with those materials.
Created
so
a multimedia picture of it with cutting out the strips.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes. And then even printing the photos, like we print the photos. Well, no, I took the photos from the photographer, edited them in Photoshop to make the contrast and make them black and white. Then I printed them out. After I printed them out, I balled them up, then like flattened them back out. The like me rolling it up gave it that texture. And keep in mind, I know there's a ton of things I could have got online that recreate that, but I wanted it to give it a little more depth and wanted to feel a little more real. So as much of this as I could do hands-on and rescan back into the computer to make it feel different than other covers, as much of it as I could do authentically, I did, you know?
I love how the covers, the colors, and that pattern, sort of that textile, that multimedia thing you did, you know, flows from the cover to the CD on the inside. Oh, I can scroll right here.
Thank you, man.
So, you know, and then you got the hats. The first thing I saw was the hat before I ever saw the sneaker.
Yeah.
Is the hat on here too? Where's
Yeah,
the
yep. Keep going down.
Keep going.
Yeah, it's going to load.
I see you got a T-shirt. Let me pop that up. Yeah, so it's inside the letters is that pattern, right?
Yeah.
Of the album, adultish. And yeah, just great work. A great branding, because that's the brand of this album. It's not only Substantial's brand, but this particular album has these colors. This looks beautiful too. I like how you put the white on the inside.
Thank you, man.
Of the hoodie. That's nice. Let's check out the back.
Make it feel like a cutout of the T-shirt almost, right?
It's very artistic. Yeah, I love it. It's
like nothing wasted. It looks like the punch out that happened on the shirt. The rest of the material went to the hoodie. You know what I mean?
Yep, it looks like that.
Nice,
it's really nice going. So, you know, your merch game is on point.
Thank you,
and you
brother.
have a lot of products. So you've got T-shirts.
Yeah, multiple.
This is not just an ad for your album, but I'm celebrating you because I'm a fan as an artist.
Oh man,
you know?
Thank you, bro.
The hats are very interesting because a lot of people don't do anything with the bottom of the brim of the hat. Like mine are green. That's cool. I like green. I have green eyes. It'll add some color reflection also. But you know, well, you took that and made a whole design under there.
Yeah.
On yours. Yeah. Which is
it took a good amount of research, man. I found a company. I was really looking hard to find some companies that could do it here stateside. And then every company that I found stateside that did it, I found out that they were shipping it. I mean, they weren't shipping it. They were taking the order, but it was actually being manufactured somewhere else. And 9 times out of 10, it was China. So, and it was wild because when I found this one company, I was about to go with them. And then when I saw what the prices were, I was like, man, this is too high. So then funny enough, one of those companies, like there's multiple companies in China that were reaching out to me because they saw all of the merch options I had. So they were like, man, we don't know who does your merch, but if you're looking for somebody. And so, so I told them, I was like, if you can do this one particular thing, well, you got my business. And then they showed me that they could do it. I showed them the mock-ups and they were like, you know, here's how much a sample will cost. And they sent me a sample. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, it's a wrap. It's a wrap, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Well, and with all those different products, you need a website that can handle that.
Yeah, 100%.
So you're either going to have to make it yourself. And, you know, you might be, there's artists who are, their other job is they're a developer, you know? So they may be like, or they're a graphic designer. So they may want to, you know, work on things like their website themselves. And once again, let's pull up the shoes while I'm talking. But once you have all this good music, and then good shirts and whatever other products you have, cassettes, vinyl, CDs, clothing. How are you going to show it all on your website? Bandcamp does a pretty good job of keeping it all on one page, accessible. You can link to everything on one page, but it doesn't come like that automatically. You have to edit your page and set it up that way.
Yes.
And that can be complicated to understand how to get the shoes on there with the CDs over here and the video on the top. But that's where you can go to one of my man Substantial's workshops and get some tips. Just one example of something else you can learn.
Come on through.
That's something that you helped me with.
Oh, and our classes are going to be online as well. So like, you know, it's one of those things where if people can't come in person, they can pay a slightly lower rate. It's $5 less. And then they'll be able to access the classes online, you know. Nice. So like, because we're going to record them live every time we do it, you know.
I went to something else. I tried to go to the MCMI one, but it took me somewhere else.
Yeah.
I wanted to show what you did, how not what you did, but how you helped me to customize my page in order to get my shirts and hats in there.
Yeah.
Oh, it keeps going to the wrong thing. Every time I click it, goes somewhere else. All right. It's not working today.
Yeah.
Just close that share.
one thing I wanted to say too, because a while back I met with a VP over at Bandcamp. This is before Epic Games bought them and then sold them to Song Trader. But one of the things that it would be a real game changer to help, I won't say game changer, but it would be a big help to Bandcamp is the moment they figure out how to integrate, so for example, I use Printful, right? The great thing about when people order merch from my website, my actual website,
we use that too.
Yeah, it's automated, right? So like if you any of those shirts that you saw and those hoodies and stuff like that, if you order those particular items, those things get automatically like manufactured per order, right? Like there's not a bulk amount sitting in a factory, but they're made to order, which is good for the planet. And they get shipped out, and then they use manufacturers from different parts of the world. So it's able to keep your shipping down, right? So if you live in Australia and you order my shirt or my hoodie, they're going to use a manufacturer already in Australia and ship it from there, right? So
that's a big deal right there.
Yeah, 100%.
United States, that's going to cost a lot more.
Yeah, exactly. So when people order through my website, when they order certain items, it's a little bit cheaper for them that way, at least on the shipping side. And then it's automated. So, I mean, obviously I get less per sale, but I also don't have to deal with certain things now. The vinyl, CDs, things like that, the hats, all of those things I still ship myself. But I was suggesting to the VP, I was like, man, at some point it'd be great if y'all had that type of integration for Bandcamp, because the moment they're able to do that, fam, like that's going to be huge. Because one of the toughest things about, one, it's already difficult enough to load in all of this information. But if they were able to partner with one of those companies, they could
get a stream. They could get a revenue stream.
I mean, they get that revenue stream, but then they could also potentially, you can automate those type of sales. You see what I'm saying? So those sales will all be automated. And then, the way it works on when I design it on Printful and then connect to my website, it automatically populates most of that information. So now that's one less step you have to take on Bandcamp after you've designed the product somewhere else, if they were able to streamline that. And so yeah, man. So that's
you called them and you gave them that for free.
Oh yeah, man. I was on. We had a meeting with them. Oh, please believe I got something out of that situation.
Okay,
but I'm just not gonna speak on it publicly. But yeah, But yeah,
I can imagine you in 5 years from now. Like what's the future? I could imagine one of these companies snatch you up. I'd be like, we just need him working for us. Come over here. Don't tell anyone else your ideas. You're on staff now. Here's a budget. What are your ideas? How should we improve our website?
Bro,
what do the artists need? Because you're an example of the end user. You're a customer. You purchase music on Bandcamp, so you understand the user experience. And then you're an artist selling your music on Bandcamp. So,
from your lips to God's ears, man. Listen, anybody watching right now, listen, I am available. You know what I'm saying? For the right price. Substantial can be yours. But yeah, man, no.
Well, you do work for record labels and do A&R work and also.
Yeah. I've definitely done it over the years. Yeah. But something else I suggested to them before I ain't taking credit for nothing, right? Let me be clear. Because even when I said that to the folks at Bandcamp, they were like, yeah, this a lot of the stuff you're suggesting are things, we've already been talking about and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay,
sure
cool.
You were.
It was like, you take it with a grain of salt. I mean, a good amount of artists that I advise to, most of the conversations are filled with, no, I know. But like I tell them, the same applies to Bandcamp. It's like, you might know, but you're not doing. So, I mean, it's, what Bruce Lee said, knowing is not enough. We must act. You know what I mean? Like, and so you can know it all day, but until you come up with a solution that works for everybody, it's like, that doesn't mean anything. But one of the other things I suggested to them, and I was glad to see that they finally did during the pandemic, was I think it was like 2018 or no, it might even been before that. It might have been like 2016. Bandcamp did something locally in the DC area. This is where I finally met A1. Shout out to A1. And they were asking for ideas from the artists who were there, you know. And then I said to them, because this was around the time, it was 2016, because this was around the time that Facebook launched their live stuff, right? Their live feature. And I suggested it to them there. I was like, yo, listen, Facebook's cute and all, but, you know, it's great that you're able to go live there, but you all should set something up where we could go live from your platform. Because the fact of the matter is, as long as I got to rely on social media to always go live and redirect people ultimately back to your platform or to my website, I'm always at their mercy, right? Like for whenever they want to change the algorithms to keep me from sending people away from their site. But if you all had a feature like that to allow us to go live on your platform, you know, and make it so that while we're live, people can purchase right there. They don't have to leave.
Imagine right now on the side, instead of a bunch of video suggestions to watch, it was a bunch of music to purchase.
Right.
Of you or any artist you want to recommend. And then there were people chatting also while you're going live.
And then that's exactly what they did.
Whatever the thing is. Okay.
Yeah.
So Bandcamp has that now. So we can do this on Bandcamp and another.
100%. So yeah, so they did that during the pandemic. They opened that up, and then you can do a live ticketed concert on Bandcamp. You can sell the tickets in your store like you would anything else. And then the great thing is, though, they don't pay out on those tickets until after you've done the show, so people can't really game the system like that. So they pay out after about 24 hours or 48 hours after you've done the show. And then you can create a merch table, and that merch table consists of whatever of your releases. And then say, like, if you and I did one, I could literally grab links from your store on Bandcamp and then plug it into the merch table. And then on top of that, I can make it so that with your purchase of the ticket, you get an automatic download of whatever I want to connect to on my store. So it's super dope. So one of the things that I'm doing right now is I got this show coming up this Saturday, but basically the venue I'm performing at, Crescendo, they live film, live record all of the performances, right? So they got multi-angle, 3 different cameras like capturing it, and then it's running like high quality audio, and then I can take that, download that, and now that same concert that was only available to people in Falls Church, Virginia, I wait a couple weeks, and now I can add that as a live performance to my Bandcamp, charge a certain amount for people to watch that, make it a ticketed event, connect it to the Adultish album, right? Add a merch table with my merch and everybody else who performs that night, and then make money off that same show twice. Or just do a separate show if I wanted to, you know what I mean? So I've done both, but dude, you know, again,
so you're saying a digital merch table.
Yeah,
on the live stream they can purchase merch.
Yep, and then the dope thing is, while they're purchasing, you literally, like you were just saying, there's a chat on the side. But what's really dope about their chat is anytime someone buys anything, it pops up in the chat, such and such. Like, for example, shout out to Danny Dog holding us down in the live chat right now. So if Danny copped like a t-shirt while I was performing, it would say in the chat, Danny just purchased a shirt, blah, 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 you know? And then somebody else cop an album while the show's live, it would do the same thing. Dog, like, so again, it's one of those things, because I remember shout out to Session, because I thought he was supposed to be here with us tonight, but
yeah, I don't know if he's going to make it. I haven't heard it back from him, but
all good. But one of the things I was saying, because he makes some great points about why we ultimately can't rely on any of these DSPs too much. And keep in mind, technically, Bandcamp could fall in line with being a DSP, but it's more like an alternative to what the traditional DSP is. And for those who don't know, a DSP is digital streaming platform. But anyway, like the ultimate thing is, I think I just tell everybody, it's like, sure, there's reason to be concerned about what's happening over at Bandcamp.
Right.
But again, until the house is officially on fire, fam,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's still arguably one of the best tools out there, because the downside, the upside to having your own website is that people can always come directly to the source to support you. The downside to you having your own app, you having your own website and stuff like that, the only downside isn't for you. It's mostly for the user, for the fan, the supporter. And
Right.
that's that when they go to your site, they can only listen to you. And most people, they listen to their favorite artist for a certain period of time, but then we live in a world now where they typically don't have to leave a platform to listen to all of their favorite artists. And that is the challenge that we're all going to be faced with, is that's the solution that these DSPs and the DSP alternatives have figured out, that largely no one artist is going to be able to come up with that solution unless you got the money to license everyone else's music and put it on your website. So, and while that's not the worst problem in the world, and some people be like, yo, I mean, it's whatever, yo, like either they do or they don't. I'm like, yo, listen, that's cute. That's cool. I get it. But the reality of it is Spotify, for better or for worse, and Apple / iTunes, they've changed the industry forever, right? Like what it currently is what it is. And the fact of the matter is they've changed people's listening habits in terms of how they listen to music, and convenience is a huge thing for a lot of people. So, that's the big challenge.
But I got to push back on you a little bit on that. As much as they did that, they also devalued the value of music.
Oh, yeah. Oh, 100%.
Because they made it disposable and too accessible, and not as much of a conscious decision for you to seek out artists you like, but more of like whatever, and it just kind of give you a stream. You know what I mean? And,
I agree with you 100%.
Also making it hard for artists to make enough money off their streams to be equivalent to the old way of album sales and sales and things like that.
I agree with you 100%. To address one of the comments, Funk Docs Box says we need to take over and have our own platforms that we control. I agree. The problem is, like, when you say we, how many of us does we include?
Do you mean the individual artist has their own platform? Then that's your website.
Because
nobody's on that. That's your website.
Right. But
does he mean like a union of sorts or a collective of artists somehow?
And that's going to be your problem right there. Like, there's a reason why there's no real union for musicians, right? Like the way there's an actors union and all of this type of stuff. And part of the problem is, these major label artists, like they have contracts, they have agreements or whatever to work with these particular, they're part of the machine, so to speak. Those same artists, they get a larger portion of their streams than they get a larger So for example, you could be on these platforms streaming the hell out of me all day, right? The fact of the matter is, even if you never listen to Drake, right? Even if you don't listen to Taylor Swift and a long list of other huge artists, the fact of the matter is, even when you're listening to me, you're still helping to pay them. That's the way these platforms are built currently, right? The major streaming platforms like Spotify and all of that. Because with Spotify in particular, the three major labels are owners, are partial owners of that platform. And so it's part of the reason why Spotify hasn't been making any money, right, is because of the fact that Spotify, up until they introduced podcasts, they basically were just licensing content that they then push out to everybody else. So that's why they have, for the most part, haven't turned a profit, while someone like Netflix, who's making original Netflix content, right? Like Spotify's not making albums. You see what I'm saying? And so that means they have to license those albums. So there's only so much money they can make. But the people who own it are making sure that, like, regardless of how much they make, when money's made from that stuff, that money goes into a pot that's divided up among certain folks, and majority of that money goes to the top, literally. And so while I agree, it'd be great that if artists if artists created our own thing, but how many artists are going to go out here? How many? Bandcamp was one of the best solutions, largely because the three people who helped create Bandcamp were all musicians. So, and so that's why Bandcamp was built the way it was, right? Where Spotify, not so much. You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
I agree that artists definitely need to come up with something, but you got to remember that the fact of the matter is, when we say we, even just because we say we, don't mean you talking about everybody. It's like, who's we, right? And as long as it's not including everybody, there's someone who's going to feel slighted. That's important to remember. So even if we do work together and build something, there's going to be someone who's not included, someone who has a problem, and someone who basically comes along and says, yeah, this is BS. We need something different. And I do agree that there needs to be something else, but I don't know what that is. You know what I mean? But I'm a solution driven dude. So when I find the people who have the skill set who could build that, and they want me to be a part of that process, or I find out it's going on and I can be a part of that process, fam, I'm there. It's part of the reason why I'm a part of the Recording Academy now in my area. Like, people think of the Recording Academy and they just think about the Grammys.
Right.
We're not, that ain't the only thing we do. Like, we're out here lobbying, working with Congress, trying to get laws changed in terms of how musicians are paid out.
Okay, I didn't know that. Because my man Keith Wildchild, he's in the academy, and he tried to get me to join it also. And I felt like it wasn't the right time because I don't have an album that I'm pushing to get a Grammy for. And I'm not really concerned with the Grammy right now.
That's a small piece of it.
I didn't know about this part.
Yeah. Like, we got a committee that's dedicated to, like, talking about advancements in technology that directly impact musicians. So we sit around and we talk about the same stuff we're talking about right now. But then we get other people who are Grammy members, who are Recording Academy members, to join that committee. And then we partner up with different organizations to have these discussions and see where the technology is going and better educate other musicians so they know, like, what's coming next. So we talk a lot. We met with different congressmen recently, about as recent as a month ago, talking about AI, our concerns, and all of that. So, that's the type of work that, like, most people only know about the Grammys. They don't know about all the other stuff that you can do being a part of the Recording Academy. You know what I mean? And most people think that the Grammys is like some rigged thing where it's just like any election, fam. Like, the album you think should have been album of the year, if they drop that album at the beginning of that year, but by the time the end of the year come, no one's barely talking about that record and somebody else hot. You know what I mean? Like, it's a whole lot of variables. So, and then, I mean, that's a conversation for another day, but it ain't what most people think. And that's speaking as somebody who's an underground independent dude who out here with everybody else, but I'm also a part of that organization. And I have a better understanding than a lot of these people who just be saying shit on the internet do. I don't know if we can curse, my bad.
That's all right. I mean, I try to keep the cursing to a minimum or off of Cybersky videos. Yeah. MCMI report is, a little bit less worrying about that. But this is on both, so I don't know.
Yeah.
That's all right. I went by real quick. People won't even hear it. They have to
right.
But I think what you were talking about, if you find people who are looking to make those solutions and they seem like they have the actual ability to do it, you'll be behind that. You will want to support that new technology.
100%.
I'm going to use that to segue into this last thing we're going to talk about before we close the show. We're not going to go as long and in depth on this because we don't have Session here. We will bring him back another day and we'll do a full show about this new app that's used for digital distribution of music for artists. And it's called Demu Jukebox. Right? So I'm going to pull it up on the screen, pull up the... Let me switch my thing here. A lot of action going on the screen. Wait, I need substantial. There you are. Yeah, so this is a promo that kind of explains it and introduces it to the world. This just launched. This is cutting edge. This is like a month or two old. When did this promo come out? You remember?
August.
August. So this just happened. This is a new blockchain-based digital distribution. So for those who know about crypto NFTs, and smart contracts. I know that on Cybersky videos, we talk about that a lot. We have even discussed it on the MCMI report before, on the MCMI report podcast. But the technology behind that, the blockchain, is decentralized. What that means is no one company controls it. And so when people build apps and websites and technology on the blockchain, it's sort of democratically run by the users of that technology. And that kind of means it cannot be bought and sold like Bandcamp was bought and then features changed or people fired or things taken off the platform. So, right now, Spotify, we were talking about Spotify a few seconds ago, they just did something where they're going to now make a threshold you have to meet in order to monetize your streams the way that YouTube does. People hated when YouTube did that. A lot of people got thrown off because it didn't have 1,000 subscribers and, more importantly, something like 4,000 hours of watch time in a year.
Yeah.
That's a lot, 4,000 hours.
It is.
I think if you get 3,000 hours, you're amazing and you should be monetized. But you can't because you didn't get 4,000. So people didn't like that YouTube did that. And a lot of people, left the platform or kept it, but added Rumble or added Twitch and other things because they don't like what YouTube is doing. The thing is, if you want to play on YouTube, you have to follow their rules. They created it. It's owned by Google. They write the script. So this blockchain app aims to decentralize and democratize the platform, as well as make each person own and have more control over their sales and their relationship with their customer, they know you, things like that. So it's called Demu Jukebox. I'm going to play the demo and then we'll talk about it briefly when I come back. And you're in this promo, and so am I. So it's kind of cool.
Music is the way feelings sound.
Just a way to express my soul. So
It's honest, it is from the heart, and
has affected somebody, that it matters to someone.
Always talking about something that has a point, a message.
That connection with the audience is extremely important.
I love making people smile and laugh.
You can feel the passion, the emotion I put into everything I do.
And be authentic, be forward thinking, don't settle.
Stay true to yourself.
Because that's what it's all about. The best thing that can happen to a musician is knowing that your music
connect with my fans.
Staying connected with my audience.
I am a president and head of A&R of Viper Records.
My name is Substantial, and I'm an artist.
I'm Cash Gouvet, artist from Oakland, California.
Peace world, this is GMS.
I am an artist. My name is Mosey.
Hey, my name is James. I'm here with my band, Young Man Winter.
My name is Cavelli L, the Punisher Rock. This is gonna be a great way to get the music to the people.
You can actually earn as an artist, and I want to be an example for other artists.
It's important that artists, when we sell our music, are compensated in a fair way.
We help artists take more ownership of their careers.
To me, is a new frontier.
Introducing.
Watch for dramatic effect. The Demu Jukebox.
In this age of irreverence, this is your rock with the regiments. MCMI back with the vengeance, replenish the soil, put seeds in the sediment. You've been blessed when we stepping in. Never F with the brethren. Dream if you want, we'll be having your dreams ripped apart, check the lettering.
Demu Jukebox. Do music for a living. Along the way.
GMS, MCMI. He wasn't expecting this. Let's go.
Yeah, son.
Yeah, so that's basically. Oh man, I had the next thing playing. Do you hear it?
Mm-mm.
Okay, it's just on my tab here somewhere. Got so many tabs.
All the tabs.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I just finished that stock playing, and then I hear Danger Mouse and Black Thought Aquamarine playing in my ear.
Oh, that
that just started playing. That's a banger, right? But it just stared playing in my ear. I was like, oh, where's it coming from? I had to find it because I was listening to that earlier. But yeah, that's Demu Jukebox, because it's decentralized music, Demu. And you know, that is a new platform that's trying to solve the problems that we've been discussing of some of the other platforms, right? None of them are perfect. They all have different advantages and disadvantages. You know, there's some things that Spotify is great for, and there's some faults that it has to it. And the same thing with Bandcamp, and the same thing with using any other digital distribution or streaming service. So that one, as people can see, we have both put our music on because we want to support innovation and new technology coming out. And I'm going to promo the next podcast by saying, like and subscribe right now, click the notifications on either platform. And when I come back and do the next MCMI and Cybersky podcast, we will talk more about how do we utilize the blockchain to solve some of the problems of Web 2 music distribution by using Web 3, right? But real quick, just in a nutshell, what would you say is a reason why you thought that would be a good idea to put your album? Because Adultish is on the jukebox, right?
It is.
Why did you want to do that?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think my reasons, a lot of times, you know, my reasons, of course, align with some of yours. But one of the other things for me is like anytime something new and interesting is happening in this industry that we work in and we release music in, you know, it's something I want to explore and learn about, so I can make sure it's so I can see if it's a viable option, not just for myself, but for like the thousands of people over the years that I've taught, who work in this industry or plan to work in this industry. And so, you know, I mean, it was great to see that one of the homies, you know, was behind this. And so out the gate, of course, you know what I mean? Fam first. So working with Session to learn about it and be able to be behind the scenes, making suggestions on things that they should consider doing, to make sure that it's fair to artists, but also something that's a sustainable business model for themselves. And, you know, I mean, yeah, so like I said, a lot of different reasons, man, but you know, but this is part of what we were talking about. Like when I asked before, like, who's the we? Right. This is, you know, so when I hear a homie talking about like, yo, this is what we're thinking about doing and all of that, you know, making sure that I'm not just a part of the people out here suggesting that something like this should happen, but also like when the opportunity arises, being a part of that team and being a part of that movement to try something new and see if this is a sustainable option for us all. So yeah, man, salute the Session, salute to the whole Demu family.
Definitely. And just to show people a little taste, and then we'll come back and do a whole episode on this, but this is the Demu Jukebox, right? So let's say you pulled this up on your phone and you are a crypto holder for now. In the future, when they get to the next level, you could pay through credit card, PayPal, any money source, and you won't have to have anything to do with crypto. But for now, being it's on the blockchain and that's the currency used, they are on the Cardano platform. If anybody out there knows about Cardano, it's a very popular, very well-respected crypto technology, and they build apps on Cardano. I think it's called a layer 3 blockchain. And up here, if you see, it says no wallet connected because I'm not signed into my wallet. But if I were to connect my wallet, I don't know if I can do it on the laptop. Let's see. Yeah, I usually use the phone. But over here it says ADA. It says the balance of your ADA. ADA is the name of the coin that you use on the Cardano blockchain. Use ADA. It's an altcoin. And yeah, if I purchase this album, which happens to be my album, Along the Way 777, shout out to my own album. Yeah, then it would go into my crypto wallet as NFTs. and I would play each song whenever I want. I own them. I could stream them. I could play them. I could send them to people. I could do what I want with them because I own it. And unlike if I go to my account on Spotify, I can't pull the MP3 off of there. It's streaming only. And if I go to some music stores like Apple Music, when I get the download, it's really only compatible with their music player. You can't really get the file off of that and put it into GarageBand or another music app and start editing and chopping up and making a remix or email my friend who doesn't use. If my friend uses Tidal and I send them something I downloaded from Apple Music, it's not going to play. I have permission to play that song in Apple. So in their app. So in a sense, it's rented. It's not fully owned where you can do whatever you want with it. I can't do everything I want. So this platform attempts to give more control over what you can do and what you can offer. You can offer people an experience the way you can with any NFT. You can offer people the ability to give perks to their fans and their super fans and give them extra stuff through this system. So we'll talk more about it, how it works, so some artists can see if they're interested. But these are just a few of the first artists who are utilizing this platform. So Substantial and myself are pioneers. See how we're up top? We're not listed there because they're favoring us. They're putting us there because we're Substantial, the second artist whose music came up here, and I'm the fifth, and then so on. And now you see we got Cormega, and Nas, Glorious joint up here, right? And other artists are starting to use the platform as well. And the goal is that as more artists and labels begin to utilize this platform, they will expand and begin to take other forms of payment and no longer need to be restricted only to be used on the Cardano blockchain with ADA. They will translate that for you. Just pay with your regular dollar and buy the song. But that's more to be announced on that in the future. I want to come back to our basic layout so we can kind of close out the show. If there is any way that you could influence Bandcamp, we're going to end it off on that. If you had the ear of the new people who purchased it, Song Trader, right?
Yep.
You've said you're not going to worry and say the sky is falling until it's falling, right? Or the house is burning, but you're neither optimistic nor pessimistic. You're just waiting to see, right? So let's say you could advise them. Look, since you bought the platform and you might want to add some things to it, here's what you could do to improve Bandcamp. You should have this. Just like you said, they approved it before by adding the live streaming feature, right? What do you want to see Song Trader do? Maybe it has to do with licensing or anything else. What would be great for the artists using it so we could benefit the most and the people buying music, we could all get value?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely like to see like some type of thing put in place where it's like this seamless setup in terms of like making your music eligible for licensing in the current platform that Song Trader has. So like making that transition for any artist who would be interested in that should be seamless, considering one company owns the other in a perfect world. So that's something I would like to see. The feature I talked about before for those folks like myself and like you who use Printful and other platforms similar to Printful to supply some of our merchandise, being able to integrate that into Bandcamp so that way those purchases can be automated, you know what I mean, just to save some of that time. So that's definitely something I'd like to see. I think the live thing that they've done, again, not trying to take credit, but I definitely suggested that a very long time ago to them. But I definitely think that's something that can be upgraded in a step further, because right now when you do it, they don't even allow you to do it in full HD right now. Like it's just 720. I mean, and that's I think that's both good and bad. Like I think it's good because like it saves some of the bandwidth that's not the main focus for Bandcamp anyway, so they're probably just like, yo, we got limited real estate out here, B. We can only use so much of our resources because it's not even something that they offer to everybody on the platform. But I do think that, you know, if you're a person that's paying the premium rate or paying for Bandcamp Pro, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you would like a higher quality. But then the other option, I mean, the other side of that is also, it's kind of like, if you want full HD, come see me in person. Right. So
about 3D.
Right. 3D. There you go. 3D, son. So yeah. So, I mean, you know, there's a couple things. I mean, there's a lot more, but those are just some of the things just based on what we've been talking about that I'm already thinking about. And, you know, but largely I think the biggest thing for me is it's kind of heartbreaking hearing that they killed the editorial. And so it's going to be interesting to see.
Would you tell them they should bring that back?
I would absolutely tell them to bring that back. But I think it's going to be a matter of how can they bring that back in a way that's sustainable for them as a company, especially because I know right now, if folks had to choose, here's the tricky part. If we had to choose between bringing the editorial back or keeping Bandcamp Fridays.
Mm-hmm.
Have
you heard anything about Bandcamp Fridays? Like,
I've heard that they're well, I mean, I know that the last changeover, I mean, I feel like I read something that says they were going to keep it, right? Okay. But like, again, if that question is posed to most artists, right? What's more beneficial to you? What do you want to keep? Bandcamp Fridays or bring back editorial, right? And I would argue, I feel like Bandcamp Friday has been good. It's great even, right? You know, however, I see the benefit in having the editorial, and I feel like the editorial may be even more beneficial. You know what I mean? Because Bandcamp Friday, you're pretty much just promoting.
Explain what that is.
So the first Friday of every month, Bandcamp basically they take away their fee, right? So they don't collect anything, and the only people who get a portion of your sales on that particular day is PayPal, who they use for the processing, right?
So more money goes directly to the artist. I got you.
Exactly, right? And Bandcamp waives that. Now the downside for Bandcamp is that most artists, since they've introduced that, use that particular day to go super hard to get people to come to the platform, right? Because
that was the goal. That's why they did it, right?
Well, they did it. They introduced it during the pandemic when a lot of people were down and out, couldn't tour and all of that, and were losing money. So they were like, "Yo, one day a month, we're gonna waive our fee so y'all get more money," right? Dude, that's a noble thing.
Great thing they did, yeah.
Yeah, and then they just decided to keep doing it, and then even when the pandemic ended, I guess, right? Even when
it faded out, it was a fade out.
Right.
Specifics end. Yeah.
Right, when they hit the slow fade on the pandemic, Bandcamp decided to keep that. Now, again, that's beneficial to artists, like, you know, if you're able to sell anything during that particular time. But I would argue that the editorial is far more beneficial, because what the editorial does, like, now keep in mind, it's all based on chance. There's no guarantees with any of that, where, you know, you're guaranteed to push it to your fan base directly on Bandcamp Friday, and potentially maybe you get a sale or sales plural, right? But with the editorial thing, you get an opportunity to pitch directly to Bandcamp staff. If they like it and they connect with it, they're going to potentially put you on places on Bandcamp's site that makes you more visible, potentially do write-ups on your music, and send a ridiculous amount of traffic. Anytime I've received those type of opportunities from them, my traffic goes up like 5 to 10 times what I normally get. I get a lot more followers. I get a lot more like passive sales throughout the week, outside of the sales I get when I'm like actively promoting something myself. So I feel like that's more beneficial to me building my brand, where Bandcamp Friday puts me in a position where every first Friday comes and I'm like, what new merch or what new song or what new whatever can I put up here and try to convince y'all to keep buying new things. So I'm scrambling to find something where I much rather be like, hey, if I can pitch to your editorial and get people to pay attention and discover me on this platform, rather than somebody coming on here and buying the one new thing. If I get discovered by somebody new, they come through here, listen to everything, maybe purchase a couple of things, not just the one thing. And so I don't know, there's benefits to both. I'd love for them to keep both, right?
Yeah.
But if I gotta choose what's most beneficial to me, I'm gonna go with keeping the editorial and losing Bandcamp Friday, because it's cool and all, but 15%, it's a lot when you're making a lot. It ain't nothing when you ain't selling that much. You know what I mean?
If it's the difference between $8.50 and $10, but if it's $1,850, they're now starting to come a little bit more substantial.
And this is
see what
coming.
I did there?
Hey,
the amount is a little more
I see what you did.
substantial.
Now, and peep, and I'm a dude who on this platform, right now, the slow months for me this year have been 500 plus, right? Top months this year for me have been like couple stacks, right? Mm-hmm. So 15% for me,
that makes a difference.
That's a lot of money,
yeah.
Right? So don't think that I'm saying this because blah blah blah. Like, nah, fam. In this situation, I'm losing more than you are. But what I'm saying is the reason why my numbers look the way they do is because of those editorial features, not just because of the size of my fan base that already exists. And what's wild is because I teach and do all these other things and consult, people who discover me, if they were like, a lot of times I'm like your favorite artist, right? Like, regular people know me, of course, but there's a ton of artists that when they discover me, it's not just they support the record, like they sometimes become clients. So that turns into other opportunities and money for me. You see what I'm saying? So me being introduced to new people, that I'm playing long game. I keep the ones who know engaged, but I'm also like, man, when a new person discovers me, there's a ton they can dig into, and that potentially in a year can equal out to a lot of money. So, anyway,
an opportunity. Yeah. Great advice, great thoughts. Shout out to Danny says, thanks for having Substantial on the show. He has so much knowledge. Yeah, definitely.
Appreciate you, fam. Thank you. Hey, man. Thank you, G, man. Listen, bro, I'm super proud of you, man. Like, everything you've been building, man. It's been dope to see, man. Was building with Blitz back in June. We were just talking about everything you've been building and how focused you've been with this project and everything you're building around it, dude. And it's man,
yeah. We didn't even talk about the merge this tech, but I'm gonna do a whole nother show.
Yeah,
to show the chip. I've been creating some content to demonstrate how it works for people who don't have it, didn't do it.
Yeah,
but they would like to see how it works. They're not just gonna look on Bandcamp and say, "Oh, let me buy the T-shirt," and it has a chip technology. Like, they don't understand it. At the shows, people see it and they put their phone up and they scan it and they're like, "Oh, this is exciting." They see the technology. So that's where I got most of my sales from.
That's dope.
But, for people in the digital realm, I got to make more content to really explore that. So I'll be talking a session, and you and Brian Urachek and other people involved in that, and having Blitzkrieg on discussing it with me, so we can explain that side of the technology, which is something we didn't even cover today.
Yeah.
But we got more show in the future. Today was a long one. I'm going to cut it up. I'm going to put a bunch of your gems that you dropped up on socials, just your certain answers you gave, are really good, I think, for people on different platforms to dig into. And going to get back into this podcasting. I've been off for a while. I've been off there for a while. I did one Rubik's Cube unboxing the other day, showing things like this for my fans of cubing. Yeah. But it's called Guess What Came in the Mail, where I pull out things out of the mail. But the MCMI report is coming back, and Cybersky videos, Cybersky podcast. This is an example of it right here. And as much as I can, whenever our topics talk about technology and music, especially involving hip hop artists, it's going to be on both platforms when you utilize them simultaneously, to get the message out to everybody. So thanks again for coming on the show. Everyone, Substantial's IG is at the scroll on the bottom of the screen. Please also follow my numerous platforms. We got MCMI Report. Who else can we follow? GMS_MCMI. Let me go to the banners here. Boom, there's one for you. At Cybersky Videos. And even Mr. Cybersky, if you want to follow me as an educator, you can follow me at Mr. Cybersky on all platforms, like Stan said, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. It's all those same things, Cybersky Videos and so on. All right. Oh yeah, here we go. Throw that up there. So this has been an episode of the MCMI Report and Cybersky Videos. Thanks to you guys out there listening. Please like, please subscribe, hit the notification so you can know when the next episode drops, where we will talk about the Demu protocol and Demu Jukebox, as well as the Along the Way 7.7 technology-enabled apparel. That's what we're calling it. It's tech-enabled apparel. On the way out, we're going to drop a couple of songs for you guys. So I'm going to sign off right now. It's been great. Thanks for listening. Substantial GMS. Catch you guys next time.
You know, say it's another collaboration. Yep. Well, I don't know, say it's Bamboo and GMS.
All my life I've been a teacher.
When I come to play around.
Yo! My whole family is teachers.
And we don't have time for them little idiot boy business.
Nah.
You see me, I say, yo!
And today's lesson, history. I bust up on the scene, spread the plague, that's the click. A few big battles got us started real quick. I represent PK, but I am a New Yorker. Many people tell me mumble rap is like torture to listen. See, I am just a man on a mission to infiltrate the system, give the fans what they missing. Man, listen, precision is just one of my features. I'm the high school dropout that became the teacher. Whoa, I teach kids how to get that dough, cause they too busy playing tic-tac-toe. X or O, of course you gotta choose, but like Bigger Pop, either one you gon' lose. Now everybody's still trying to fill them shoes, but let G rap, I got the ill street blues. The rhymes I use will definitely amuse. Got to pay your dues, baby, you know the rules. I thought that you knew, I guess you got it confused. Step to my crew, you will leave battered and bruised. We kill a mic, then disappear without clues. Go home and hear about it on the 6 o'clock news.
Come and say, come to the teacher. Come and say, come to the teacher. Come and say, come to the teacher. Come to the teacher. Come to the teacher. Come and say, come to the teacher. Come and say, come to the teacher. Come and say, come to the teacher. Come to the teacher. Come to the teacher. Push up your hands if you love paper. What do you mean now?
Buy the records or that will flop.
Yo, step up the artist and the way get dropped.
It's GMS, come to rock you non-stop. You sell it when it's high, you buy it when it's low. MCMI Productions, let the rhythm just flow. Never run out of lyrics in a cypher or a show. Connecting all the dots so our empire will grow. Here's the difference, while y'all cats chasing women, women chase me while I chase a million. Even Jay-Z still chasing a billion. Plus I never did what I didn't love for a living. And I ain't saying this just to hurt your feelings, but I can get rich without dying or killing. And you can too. What I teach is revealing new ways to get paid without robbing and stealing. And some of you swear what I'm spitting is bull, cause you're outside pushing on the door mark pull. Locked up and locked out, strung out, wrung out, coughing your lungs out, choked and smoked out, messed up and coked out, while I be G'd up, freed up and loped out. And you want what I got, but you want it for free. I can tell you how to get it, but it costs a fee.
Come and say, come to the teacher. Come and say, come to the teacher. Come and say, come to the teacher. Come to the teacher. Come to the teacher. Come and say, come to the teacher. Come and say, come to the teacher. Come and say, come to the teacher. Come to the teacher. Come to the teacher. Hot man, them a watcher. Say them one catcher. Gun in the face, let's say I know. Say them one have good time. No for them bad mind. Gun in the face, let's say I know. Hot man, them a watcher. Say them one catcher. Gun in the face, let's say I know. Say them one have good time. No for them bad mind. Gun in the face, let's say I know. Well, I don't know, say when you come down at Brooklyn, New York, you have to respect the whole of the crews them.
Yes,
Ija, the plane, MCM
He wasn't expecting this. Let's go.
Sex and race, because they are easy, visible differences, have been the primary ways of organizing human beings into superior and inferior groups, and into the cheap labor on which this system still depends.
We want one thing. We declare our right on this earth to be a man, to be a human being, to be respected as a human being, to be given the rights of a human being in this society, on this earth, in this day, which we intend to bring into existence by any means necessary.
How we get freedom. How we get freedom. Oh, together. No matter how high the mountain, lost souls wandering, searching for light and truth. Knees on the planet, head to the clouds, praying for salvation. No, every day we battle with others and ourselves.
We are really talking about humanism.
Sadness overwhelms us. Happiness seems so far away. No, I can't give up. Not today. Not today. Won't stop till I reach my freedom. I won't stop, no. Won't stop till I reach my freedom. 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 Won't stop till I reach my freedom.
But free peoples will never remain free if they are not willing, if need be, to fight for their vital interests.
It really is a revolution.